It seems the stream is working. There they are. There's the fishies. The nice, happy fishies. Different background today. Because it's fun. Backgrounds are fun. They also can be distracting. Good morning. That's my girl. Kali. My girl Kali. My goddess girl. My actual girl is our to be ex-wife, of course. Here she is. Oh, you did some reading. Look at that crazy woman. Isn't she crazy? Wouldn't you want her to be your girlfriend? She's so awesome. Her story is just amazing. Did you know that Mysore, India was named after the demon that she slays? Yeah. Oh, she so is. I know she is. Well, we actually talked about that election, didn't we, before? Durga? Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Next up. So, yeah. Om Kam Kali. Om Kam Kali. Om Durga Maya. Om Namah. Not Shivaya. She was here. She was getting told to take a break. He actually does that on his own. It's so cool. Such a good story. Such a cool myth. Great story. Trying to catch up and you missed out. It's free off work tomorrow. This is Durga in Kali form. Hey Ramingo, how's it going, man? So this is Durga in, warrior, non-warrior form. Durga is the warrior princess, the goddess, but she turns into Kali when stuff has to go down. Usually when she has to take on ego, the demons of ego. That's why I love her so much. She's here to remind you, all those heads that she's got, those heads are the little demons of ego that pop up. Yeah. Like your yoga classes are different from mine. This is not in my yoga. I don't go to yoga classes, first of all. This is the craziest thing about Western idea of yoga. You have to go to a yoga class. Oh, God bless us Americans. You have to go to yoga class to do yoga. It's like totally upside down. My mother is Hindu and she always said Mama Kali was a badass. I was going to say badass, but she's a badass in the best way. She's a badass in the best way. What does she fight for? She fights against the demons of ego that pop up inside of you. And she sees some ego, she cuts that head right off. That demon of ego is dead. She's like, I got this. All these other gods are like, oh no, what are we going to do? And Durga's like, no, I'm Kali, I'll take care of it. It's like such a great myth. I love Hindu mythology. I think it's so much more interesting than Roman mythology. It's like, seriously, if you don't look at it as a religion, if you're not that kind of person, just read the stories from Hindu mythology. They blow away Greek mythology. They are just so much cooler. They're like, they have like plot development and character development, and they have like, yeah, and it's super, super long. Yeah. Hindu mythology is so deep. Yeah. But it's like, it's also like, I mean, okay, so compare like, oh, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many lessons to be learned in the Vedic tradition that Westerners don't even know. I didn't even know the story or the myth or whatever you want to call it of, Durga or Ganesh. They're just so much more colorful. And you know why? Because they've been around longer. They've been around longer than the Greeks invented, arbitrary. There is such a dramatic. Do you have a fave god election? The sculptures in every temple of artwork. Yes, totally. How Ganesh lost his head. I know how Ganesh lost his head. Compare the morals of the stories from the Hindu mythology to the morals of the stories from Greek mythology. I mean, it's just like so different. It's such a different, I suppose, just like a different ethos that drives the stories of Vedic mythology than the stories from Greek mythology. You know, so I mean, like for example, compare Durga. Don't trigger the atheist in me. So, yeah, yeah. Well, you read Greek mythology because it's fun. You know what? It's okay. All of it is the reason it's fun is the reason you like to read stuff like that and watch shows and movies, according to Joseph Campbell and George Lucas and all those people. I don't particularly like George Lucas, but is because why? It's because the stories are awesome. Stories are what we live for. We live for the stories. The stories are always conveying some sort of meaning, whether it's like a moral meaning or not. Who cares? I mean, even tragedy, you know, Aristotle and Socrates would say the greatest form of art. Because why? Because we learn. Dead Poets Society comes to mind. You know. Anyway, I could talk about that stuff all the time. But I happened to grab my wife's. She made this for me, my Kali coffee mug. It's a tiny little one. If you say who cares here, I'm sorry. What do you say? Okay, about who cares? What God? Yeah. Greek ones are good. They are pretty. Yeah. You pretty much got the story of Zeus right there, right? It's like, thank you for the streams. Okay, take care. Good night. Joseph Campbell. Oh yeah. Yeah, I would, dude, believe me, I would, I almost want to do a stream just about Joseph Campbell. I mean, you know, he had his own things, his own quirks, but yeah. GitLab does not like Proton. Well, I imagine it wouldn't. So yeah, anyway, that was, getting ready to go here, but it just some random talk, about why we are alive, why we are inventing technology, why we're doing it all. And that's for art, right? I was looking at the art scene in New Zealand, and yeah, it just got me thinking about all of this. Want to be famous? Hey, look, time for us to do some banning. We'll ban this one. What do you mean Twitch variable? Twitch ban. Okay. Twitch ban. What is the other one? And yeah, we've been getting a lot of bots lately. You got them all ready? You got them? Wow, you're fast. You're fast, Zeros. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, anyway, those are fun things. Is there one still out there that I haven't banned? It's all this talk about, you know, mythology that it just scared the bots, and the bots are coming to get us. How would it be to get autocomplete to work on that? Actually, not hard at all. All I have to do, you know what? Why did you say that? Now I have to do it. Add it to my big, huge list of urgent things I'll never get to. Add autocomplete to my Twitch command, because I have all the names, you know, so I can just mine the names in there. That's a great idea, though. So I'll put that in there. We do not have a second to lose today. We have so much to cover. I've been talking about lots of random things. Day and a pointer schedule tab. I missed the day pointer. You want that again? I'll add it back. And so we're going to actually start on time, on schedule, and we have a lot to cover, including all of EI. Hi. And so let me just add this back before I forget. Let's see. I have added a lot of stuff. So week 3, I've told you guys from the beginning, this is largely sort of a laboratory of helping me decide how much content I can do per week. So you're going to see a lot of changes this first boost, and then in the next boost we're gonna iron it out a little bit more and more and more, and it'll get better as we go. Iterative development, iterative education. Okay, so let's see. So day 13. Hope that's not a bad day. So we should have done everything up to page 15. The problem is that we're still back here on the permissions line, And I think I finished talking about permissions in general, the different types of files and stuff. I could talk more about that, but I don't know how much. There's one thing that I've going back and reviewing my videos and stuff that's happened, is I have getting pulled into the weeds more than I should. So it's kind of hard to know where to draw that line, because I know some of you want to go into those weeds. And so that is my concern. Permissions are what allow you to see different things. We saw that. We talked about the different file types. I think just being aware of the different file types is more important than the rest. Again, another thing I'm struggling with is I'm trying to keep the chapters from the book consistent over here, but at the same time, there's other material that needs to be picked up that's not contained here. So I don't know quite how to capture that. I'm trying to work on that. So like when we did permissions, we also did inodes and types, and that's not in the book. So what's becoming pretty obvious to me, and I put this in my long-term changes list, just so you guys know. Yeah, so every single link is fixed. Yay. My long-term to-do, which I added, I'm going to be replacing the books. There's no doubt about that. It'll probably take me 3 years to do it. But all of the books that are in the Beginner Boost will be replaced with some sort of book. On inodes and file systems. Yeah. And the problem is you can't read about inodes and file systems in the book that we have been working on because it doesn't have it. And I don't know a good alternative source for that. So if you guys find good alternative sources for inodes and file systems, stuff like that, please post it to the session in the Discord, because then I can mine that out and put it in our knowledge. So I don't know, but I'm definitely going to replace TLCL with a book called Linux Terminal Mastery. That will include all of this stuff inside of the TLCL book in my way. Plus it'll also include how to use links, how to set up searchable, all that other stuff, and how to use Vim properly, which is not covered in the book. I mean, it's covered okay, but not. So it'll be much bigger, but it will cover more of the things. It will actually rip out the keyboard trick section, which is a disaster, and that kind of stuff. So that's coming, but unfortunately I don't have time. So the best thing I can do about it right now to address the problem is just talk about it. And I realize that that's only covered through the video. So I've been struggling actually to try to figure out the best way to do all this to manage my time. So a side book for chat, discrete mathematics. Ooh. So anyway, we do have to talk about processes, and we're already behind because we're supposed to be on day 13, but it's super important that you understand processes. Processes and permissions are probably the two biggest thing, file inodes and things to understand when it comes to Linux in general. So what is a process? I'm going to go pull the book up now. So let's do PDF, the learning. Let's see, I'm going to have to start doing voice practice before. I'm going to have to go back and start practicing my. So I can do voice practice like we used to do when we'd go sing in high school. I'm sorry. That's just, I can't make it start up in inverted mode. If you can figure out how to make MUPDF start up in inverted mode and never ever start up in white mode, let me know and I will stop blinding people. All right, so let's go down to, we did permissions, shown, scroop, sudo. You see, I'm skipping over stuff that you definitely need to understand. Please just make sure you read the permissions section. That does cover permissions well, so I don't need to cover it again. And I've been saying all along, I only want to talk about stuff. Is it that shy? You found it? Oh, smart refrigerator. You are such a smart refrigerator. Obviously, I have to do that right now or it'll never get done. So where is it? I'm gonna test you on this. We're gonna try this right now. If it burns our eyes out, I'm gonna blame you. Okay. Are you just guessing? Cause we're about to find out. Wait, what's going on here? Exit. Wait, where's my PDF? There we go. Nope. Fail. See, I swear to God, I tried that before. No more guesses. You just trolled us all and burned our eyes out. You cannot just guess. You have to put things that you've tested. No guessing in the chat. All right. So there's no such thing as a gentle introduction to DVI. I would call it the survival guide. So let's do processes. Bull crap. Are you actually, you can see he's going to make me type that. I'm not going to know. I'm done. I'm done listening to you people. Done listening. Enough trolling. All right. So it is not an L, not I you put in. That as an L. What are you talking about? It says illegal option I. All right, if we figure this out, it'll be worth the lost time. Otherwise, I'm going to be mad. Character to the window. It's a real Bogue hours. Character to the window. Use XDO tool to send the character to the window. I haven't played around with that very much. That's a great idea, though. Yeah. You put an L instead of an I. You're saying, no, I didn't. See, look, it says illegal option -I. Isn't there a dot file for it? No, there is not. I put -L. It's capital I right here. It's a capital I. Oh my gosh, people, pay attention. All right, processes. What are they? Why do we care? So if you're on a terminal right now, and you should be, what you have ready every morning, or whatever, whenever your time is, you should have your notes open and you should have a terminal open every single time you sit down with me. Okay. So that you can track those things. If you're just going to sit here and watch me and I'm on the television or something, that's fine too. But I would rather you have the notes ready. Okay. And maybe I must have an old version. Okay. So anyway, so let's do this. This gives you all these commands, and a cup of coffee. Yes. Mine is now gone. So here's all the commands to look at the processes. And when I look at these lists of commands, by the way, the thing that's sort of triggering me about all of that is you can't get all of the commands in one place. We've had some people posting in the Discord places you can go to look up. They've created databases of commands, and they're all really old. And they have there's just no vetting of anything that's been submitted to this massive database. The ls command is when I checked, it was in there 40 times with every single different combination. And at that point, I'm like, no, that's too hard to digest. What we need is something in between that. That breaks down the lists and lets you filter them out and lets you use the really important ones, but doesn't grow into this massive monstrosity. And so when I see these little sections, I think it's a pretty good middle ground for that. But there's still some better way for us to have all of these commands at our fingertips. And if I pull this off, it'll be in the RWXGG app. You'll be able to go to the different commands and just read a little summary about it and the essential switches that go with it, rather than the full man page. Basically the stuff that you would get if you were to see, search it out and get a Stack Exchange entry, because that is useful. I mean, if I had my phone with me and I wanted to just look up the PS command, I could go look it up and if you didn't want to do a PS or just search from the internet. So that might help people out. I also want all of that stuff to be super searchable from the command line. And I haven't told you guys this yet, but I plan on making a command line app that searches the RWXGG site, for specific terms and stuff like that. So you can pull this stuff up with links right away, rather than having to go to the site and search. So anyway, we have processes, and yeah, that's all coming. This is all the advantage. I'm going to talk a lot about this. It's not a wiki. Don't say that dirty word in my presence. If you want to know why, I go to RWXGG wikis. I keep getting pulled into the conversation we're going to have in 2 weeks about knowledge as source. And that's going to talk about all of this. So let's do processes right now. Even though processes are boring, they're essential and you got to know about them, but they're boring. So let's try these commands really quick. So you have PS to show you all the running commands. If you want to see all of this stuff though, you have to do PS AEF is my favorite, and that shows you everything. Almost never, though, are you going to do that. You're usually going to go look at something else. There is a couple things that they don't cover here. They don't cover a command called pstree, which they should definitely cover, and it's because it's an old book that it doesn't cover it. So try pstree, and pstree is a really good way to visualize. And there's also tree for file systems. So pstree is the best way for you to see how everything is managed. And the really important thing here for you to understand your systemd is, yes, you really can. Look at how bloated systemd has become. Everything runs off systemd. So in order to understand what a process tree is, we talked about the boot process a long time ago, was that 2 weeks ago, and pstree was in Essentials, thank God. And when you run the first program that runs when your operating system boots up is, in this case, systemd. It used to be initd. And so you're going to hear a lot of controversy over replacing initd or xinitd, as it became known for a while, and then systemd. This central program that runs everything else, this master control program, Tron reference, runs everything. Everything starts from that, and that is process ID 1, and it is always process ID 1. And there's a limited number of processes you can run on your system, and I've actually, if you want to fire up a virtual machine and use any one of the, please don't post it, any one of the fork bombs out there, you'll see what happens when you run out of processes. Your system can't function any further; it'll just freeze, and because it's run out of processes. D is for systemd is daemons. Yep. And I actually, if you do /rdbx.gg/daemon, I have an explanation of what that is. Daemon is a servant. It's a thing that, that serves you and helps you out. I believe the term originated from BSD, which, Berkeley, their mascot is a devil. And so, the daemon idea of a daemon working for you is just another word for server. Or server process. Server process is a process that's a program that's running continually that answers you. Like a friendly daemon. If you know, actually, I'm going to get in trouble with the Christians, but there's actually a Christian movement against words daemon and kill and stuff like that in Unix. It's not an exaggeration. They've actually removed any references to some of this stuff, they got Templos. But there's so daemons are, that's what they do. They're I forget the name of the book. It's not, what was the name of the book? It's the one where everybody has a daemon. It's actually really attacked by the Christians because they don't like it because they say it's anti-Christian. Anyway, there's a book about that, and in the book everybody has a little daemon familiar that's a little servant, a little animal that helps them out. And so that's what a daemon is. Anyway, so sometimes it's a little confusing because sometimes you'll see a D on the end that means directory, and when that's the case, it's usually .d, and that's not usually a process. It's usually a directory, in the file system. So anyway, so there's this one major process that runs. All other things come from that. And you can actually track all of your processes and look down and see what started what. Here we see LightDM. LightDM is X. That's the new server for X. X is the window manager, not the window manager. X is the thing that provides the graphics in the windows, and then the window manager itself. In this case, I think this is a desktop manager, and then there's a window manager. It's crazy. I mean, there's like lots of levels of graphics management going on, and that's what this is all about. I can't even keep them straight. And there's my Alacrity shell you can see down there. You can see my Brave browser running. So this is just a good way, pstree is a good way to get a handle on what is running visually, although it's not very useful when you're trying to identify something specific. Yeah. I don't know. I think Xorg is a display manager. I mix up desktop manager, display manager, and window manager all the time. I should probably take a moment and write them down because I'm pretty sure that those would be on a test for Essentials if we were to do that. Somebody might want to write a little tutorial up like that and send it to me as a ticket, and I'll put it in the database. And okay, so lots of stuff here. So now you know about processes. Generally speaking, though, when you're dealing with a process, you usually want to find one and kill it. It's usually causing you problems. So so here's something you can do here. You can type top. Now this is actually not top. This is something called htop, which I find much more useful. It has many of the same functions. It does show you your memory usage. Man, I'm using a lot of memory today. Holy cow! I gotta regroup and lower that memory usage. And it shows you, how busy your CPUs are, how long your system's been up, and then how the process is down here. And you can kill the processes. It tells you which ones are taking up the most CPU. You can see here, this big old one here, that's just my animated background. That's the one taking up all that. The desktop taking up a lot. OBS is taking up a lot. So every process has to fight for, time on the CPUs. Yeah, we're catching back up. And so you can take a look there. If you want to get the real top, this is what top would look like for most of you. There is a color version of this. And this is Linux Mint Cinnamon right now, but it doesn't matter really. And so you can click on space and update it more frequently if you want to. You can actually output the top output to a file if you want to put that in a cron job so it runs regularly. Sometimes that's useful if you're trying to track what's going wrong on your system. There are many versions of, I don't even think I have GoTop on here anymore. There are many versions of graphical, versions of this. In fact, let me go see. I think if it's a performance meter, system monitor, here it is. So you can pull your system monitor up and wow, doesn't that look a lot like top? It's because it is. And it'll show you the different things here. So these are all things you need to be aware of. They sure are prettier. You gotta watch out though, because when you want to run a really heavy duty tool like this, you always have to watch to see that the tool itself doesn't throw your numbers off. This is a big problem with performance monitoring. A lot of times the performance monitoring tool will be one of the highest running CPU things on the system. And so it throws off your results because you actually see what's going on here, and it's not completely accurate. Super cool though, and these are everywhere. So this really helps you understand what's going on with your system. If you're going to become a site reliability engineer, you have to know this stuff like inside and out, and you probably need to go more deeply into tools like SAR and just all sorts of other tools for doing performance monitoring. Because this is your job. Your job is to keep the resources available as fast as well as possible. Let's see. No, this is not a VM. I'm running on Linux Mint Cinnamon directly off of hardware. So you can see the different things here. And okay, so it sounds like we have some new people in the chat. Welcome. We've been doing this for a while, so make sure you go to rwx.gg and read about it. So these other commands are more traditional commands that are everywhere. They're generally Unix and Linux commands. So ps, so let's do this, ps-ef, and then you can grep all the processes that might have a name in it. So let's say Discord is misbehaving. Well, let me go see if I can find it. So I can grep out all the Discord things here. So here comes another command that's not covered by the book, which is essential. And this is, again, kind of why I'm getting into wanting to do my own. PS3, we got PS3, we got htop, we got, and then we have, so this is the traditional way to go get stuff and try to find processes. And over here we have the process IDs, blah, blah, blah. By the way, the first one, GoTop, is another good one. It's pretty, but it's not very useful. And then we have this guy here, which is the parent ID. So this will show you who spawned the process. Difference between top and htop. Oh yeah, big differences. Definitely. So this is htop, okay, and it's got lots of differences. And then we have the regular top. This is the regular top. And there's other things you can do here. I'm not going to get into including changing the color and stuff. Shows you your swap space. Ooh, gosh, most of my swap is pretty good. All right. So if you kill a parent, does the chat die automatically? Yes, except for, yeah, if you kill the parent, the child is supposed to die unless it has had something called no-hup set on it. And what that means is that it won't die, its parent will die. And there's actually some rare cases where you can kill a thing and it'll become a zombie process. And yeah, and that a zombie process is a process that's not owned by anybody. And those are pretty hard to clean up. There's, there are ways, and it's beyond the scope of this conversation to get into that. But those are good questions about what goes on with processes and stuff. We are going to get into process signals a little later, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but you can't kill a NIT. If you can, it's actually not a NIT, it's systemd. But yeah, it's yeah. So there is no, see, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing with a NIT used to be what it was called, and people still refer to it because that's what it's been forever, and now it doesn't exist anymore. Now it's well, SBIN and NIT. I guess they still called it a NIT after all. Look at them. Did I get this wrong? I did get this wrong. So systemd must be. Wait, where's systemd? Or is a NIT taken over for systemd? I need to study my systemd. My systemd knowledge is like not where it used to be. Yep. Okay, so a NIT does start systemd. You seeing this, guys? Look at this. So that means they still called a NIT. That's good to know. Okay, well, I learned something there. I haven't studied systemd as well as I should have. A NIT is the way everything has always worked forever. And I thought that systemd came in and took over the init process. But it's important that you know that init is the thing that runs first, it looks like still, thank God. And then it usually fires up something else. In this case, systemd seems to be the first thing that ran. So see how all these processes, their parent ID is 1. Can also work directly with PID 0. Really? Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. So here we go. Here's root. So init was the first process to run. And that's what you normally would see, init or xinit or something like that. Used to shut down with init 6. Yes, and I don't think init levels are covered in this section, but just know there's a conversation about init levels. Init levels are the different levels, run levels of your system. So you can run with networking enabled, you can run with nothing enabled, you can run with graphics enabled, and you can, one of the init levels will reboot your machine. I think it's 6. It's 6, and then you can shut your damn machine down with that. So let's not talk about that right now. I don't want to get too. I have to keep myself getting in the weeds because that's really pushing our time frame out. So let me talk about the commands that are not covered in the book that I think are worth talking about. So the first one is PS. Well, we did PS3, htop, pgrep. So pgrep is kind of a. In fact, what kind of file is pgrep? I'm gonna go check. Yep, elf binary. Okay, so pgrep is a way. Remember what we just did with ps-ef grep, right? Pgrep is kind of a modern way to do that. That's a little nicer. So you can say pgrep. I think it even has a -i. I'm just testing something, or maybe not. Yep, Discord. So it shows you all of the processes that have Discord in the name, and you can actually. I think there's a -l too. I don't remember. Let's try. Yep, there you go. So -l shows you the names of the Discord processes. I have a lot of Discord processes running. Why? I don't know, but apparently I do. And then you can kind of dig around and look around for, like with PS3, and see, well, why do I have so many processes running? And you can do this kind of stuff to kill processes without rebooting your machine. It's actually a much more elegant way of dealing with your system. Because Electron, yeah, I have a feeling you're right on that. So I'm going to go look for all the Discord processes. Discord. Oh my gosh. Yep, that's it. What a beast. Yeah, so there you go. So this is one of those cases where if I were to kill the parent Discord right here, this one, it would kill all of these guys too. Right? It's supposed to anyway. So, so anyway, that's so pgrep is nice. If you actually, use pgrep to isolate the process, you can then use another command, which I don't want to use right now. Actually, I am going to use it. It does not make zombies. No. And the reason for that is because it sends by default an interrupt signal, which says die nicely. And if it does not, if you take down it depends on how the processes are set up. And almost always when you kill the parent process, everything under it will die. And almost always you can do that by sending an interrupt. I know, die nicely is actually a thing. By sending a regular interrupt, so the way processes deal with each other is they send signals to each other, and the signals are managed by the operating system, the kernel. So, and there are lots of signals, and we're going to talk about signals a little bit later. But the thing to know, there's also kill all. And kill all will kill them all, but pkill will actually kill all of the processes that match a given name. So let's say I wanted to kill all my Discord processes. So let me pull Discord up and do it. I'm going to kill all my stuff. Okay. So, and you actually have to do this sometimes because if something crashes, which by the way, my Discord seg faults at least 8 times a day, every day. It's absolute crap. So as in terms of software, I just cannot stand. I mean, I like the functionality of it, but it is one of the worst problems I've ever seen. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's pkill Discord. So pkill Discord, and that will not only kill the parent process, it'll kill all the child processes too, and it'll do it as nicely as it can. And there goes my Discord. Okay. In fact, a lot of times killing a process is just as fine as like shutting it down properly. Not always, depends on the application. So this is how I stopped OBS. When I'm running OBS from my Twitch command, my Twitch stop does a pkill against OBS. So all the OBSs die. Now, if this system, there is on occasion, a program will refuse to die because it's become cancerous or something, and you have to force it. And so there's actually, there's another signal you can use. It's called kill, and it cannot recover from that. And when we get into the coding later, I'll show you how you can actually cause your program to not die and basically thumb its nose at the user and say, haha, I'm not going to die. And if the user doesn't know how to kill with a full kill, they can't stop the program. It's called trapping signals. And it's actually a really fun way to, there's all kinds of signals you can send to processes to do different things. So you reboot now to kill, no. But there's a number of things you can do to communicate using signals alone. So a lot of times there's another signal called hup, hang up, and that's frequently used to tell a process not to shut down, but to go reread its configuration files or to do something like that. And so understanding the processes are running programs, daemons, little servers sometimes. So a server is a daemon. So for example, a web server is a daemon technically. It's sitting there, it's waiting, it's doing something, and then you can mess with it that way. Oh, thanks guys. But I'm gonna keep talking. I got a lot to cover. So anyway, and who is it from? Veganbot? Have we decided it's Veganbot? Anyway, so you have kill all, which kills all the processes by names. Oh, welcome people. Welcome. Look at all those fancy colors. What wonderful colors. I love the code seedlings. This is really beautiful. A coding garden raid. Oh my gosh, look at all those pretty colors. I love those. Those are fun. Those are really fun. What I love about them is that you actually put emojis in them. Man, that's some real intelligent like emotes going on there. I mean, come on, guys. That's like fantastic. Look at those emotes. They look pretty even in an IRC. It's like whether they come in IRC or they come in Twitch, they look really great. Well, welcome. We're on day 13 of Beginner Boost, and we are running behind. Good. Thanks for the raid, Codeguard. You did tell me a raid, and I'm fine with the raid. Thank you for the raid. But I've actually kind of got to get through this stuff. I don't mean to be, ungracious, but I've really got a lot to cover before our break. If it's top of the hour. So all you guys, so you guys that have come, the place to go to find out what we're doing, the fastest way for you to do that is to go to rwx.gg. And RWXGG is RWX.gg is where the app is that we're doing all of this. It has the schedule, and we're quite aggressively trying to cover a lot of material, including 9 languages in 16 weeks. So I know, and I love all the other people that are helping out with the process of teaching others the code. So, and today we're actually we're going through the Linux command line book. It's the best book out there that I've found so far, even though I keep finding problems with it. I want to write my own. So I've written some annotations, not nearly enough, but some annotations to help us get through this. Error, clear text not permitted on RWGG. Please tell me that's not happening right now. So HTTP as RBX, I just committed a new one, so I could have broken it. Is this not what you're seeing? What are you seeing? You're on Android. Oh, really? Thank you for that. I haven't tested on an Android yet, and I was just working on some iPad changes also. So let me make a note of that. I'll put that in my to-do list. So yeah, I mean, thank you for the heads up. I haven't. This is a brand new knowledge app that I haven't tested on anything besides mobile. My site is fine except the black background isn't filled. Yes, mine too. And I just found that out. And the reason I have a thing in my to do for that. So thank you for that feedback. I just barely threw this thing together, and it didn't have any styles until like 2 weeks ago. So I need to change the CSS to be default to background mode. I need to test on an Android. So thank you for that, Android device. The ultimate result of this will be something called a knowledge app, which you can click on Progressive Knowledge App. It will eventually be a knowledge app that has localized searching. It's basically a book that you can click on using old school kind of web tech where you actually link on things. Firefox Mobile on Android. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Full URL works isn't a false positive. Okay. He did his web stuff. He is awesome. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I love web stuff. I've done web stuff a lot. I was Nike's webmaster long time ago, but this is like just get something up really fast. So this is all the knowledge nodes currently, and I still have to port another 800 from my other site. so thank you. So anyway, I'm trying to stay on task. We're going to take a break here at the top of the hour. I might actually not, because we got the raid going on. I might just burn right through my break because of the raid delay. So that's okay. But let me just say, where we were, so we can get back on track. This is new. That was the motivation page. A lot of this stuff I actually write while I'm going through it. Oh, have you played with Browser Sync? If there's any web developers out there, go search for Browser Sync. If you're not using Browser Sync right now, that might be something worth your visit today. Go give that a shot. And I'll give since somebody mentioned they like web development, Browser Sync. It's been around for a long time. It's amazing how many people don't know about it, though. This is a remarkable tool for live previewing on multiple devices at the same time. So there's a little. I'm kind of jumping ahead. We cover that on a different week, but I just wanted to show you guys that. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. With no dev. Yeah. With anything actually. Super cool. Anyway, so we do cover that stuff at another time. So here is the schedule in case you can't see it. We got started, and then we did all about Linux and installing it last time. We're doing all about Linux command line weeks the parts 1 through 3, and we need to get through part 2, the rest of it, including VI. So in about 20 minutes, I'm going to go through an entire really whirlwind tour of VI, and we'll do that. And then next week we're going to do some scripting, and we'll be back on to our web development. Okay, so let's go back to this week, and then I'm going to pull up my all right, so okay, so we're talking about processes. I think we can almost wrap up our discussion of what processes are and how to look at them and what they do. And they're central to everything. There is something though in the process world that I want to talk to you about that is not covered, and that is backgrounding your process accidentally. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. And again, so I'm on stream. I'm going to talk about things that are not commonly discussed in the books. So one of the most common mistakes, in fact, somebody last night in one of my private sessions did it like 3 times. So this is what they did. They didn't know VI, so the VI temp, whatever, right? So, you know, they're VIing, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I can't get out. I can't get out, right? So what do? So how do you think they're going to get out? So this person did this, Control Z. Now they're out. Now what? I'm like, well, I'm going to do a thing. Actually, this person was playing Vim Tutor. They did Vim Tutor like this, which is not correct. If you want to learn Vim, do Vim Tutor like this, right? So they did Vim Tutor. I was kind of chuckling. So they did Vim Tutor, and they were in here like this. And they're like, I don't know what to do. This isn't Vim Tutor. Control Z. Wait. Control Z. Okay. And then they did this Vim Tutor, and they're like, yeah. And they're like, oh no. And I'm running Vim Tutor, which is great. You guys should do this. We're gonna talk about it later. But they're like Vim Tutor, and they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna go home for the day. Control Z. Now what? So some of you already know. What is the other command to show you all the stuff that's running? I'll give you a hint. It's one of these commands listed. No, what is the, yep, jobs. So jobs will show you, you have all of these stop jobs. Now, thank God they're stopped. So this is another problem. So what if I did this? What if I run tmatrix, right? Oops. What is it? Tmatrix dash default. X tmatrix. Oh, what happened to my tmatrix, man? Why has it got the background again all of a sudden? It's tmatrix dash I, right? You guys know about tmatrix? Zeros knows. He's the one who's got me all set up on it. So jobs. Yeah. No, tmatrix. So there's a tmatrix. I just barely found out a command for this so that it will actually do transparency. And I'm just having fun with this. Zeros, what is it? You're trying to test me on this? Is it background? Is it C default? Is it C default? Yep. Anyway, so this is the tmatrix one. Oh, it's C default. Okay, thank you for that. I almost had it. So just one off. So here's tmatrix. This is tmatrix, which is way cooler. On every level, not to mention the fact that you can make it different colors and all kinds of stuff, and it's got transparency as a background. Anyway, what happens if I Control Z this? Oh, look at that. Okay, so what have I got here, people? I've got all these stop jobs, including one. Thank God it suspends it. If it didn't, tmatrix would be sapping down my CPU. Which it's not, as you can see. It's not running. If it were, it would be the number one in the list of processes. Okay, so what? And then, so how do I get rid of these things? Well, that's where the FG command comes in. So FG is this, and that brings back the process, and then I can cancel the process properly, which is what? I know, I should Control S to stop the process. Right? Should I Control S to stop the process? That's not a funny joke. I'm trolling you because if I do, what will it do? What'd I just do? This is another thing you need to know about signals and interrupts and processes. I suspended the process, and I guarantee you will pause terminal output at some point on accident and you won't know what happened. The way to get it back is Control Q. And that will give you back your process. It will unsuspend the process. So Control S suspends the terminal in the process, and Control Q brings it back, and that's left over from the old teletype machines that you couldn't take in all the data that was being sent to them. So they left those signals around. Now, the Control S is so close to everything else, there's a really good chance you're going to hit that while you're in a VI session, and it'll just stop and it won't work. Just like when you hit caps lock during VI or your command line. Anybody ever done that? I don't know about that one. So if you really want to stop this, you want to do Control C. And now that you know about signals, I can tell you that Control C sends the running process currently an interrupt signal. That's what Control C actually does. Another way to sometimes stop things is to Control D, and that sends an end of file, which is a character. It's not a signal. So some things are waiting on that end of file character to be read. Those are the two ways to deal with running processes. So Vim does not... Actually, I think Vim does. Let's try it. So Control C. Nope, looks like it took it over. Oh wow, you know what? I didn't notice that before. Actually, that's Vim actually gives you some stuff there. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm running on my running screen process. So yeah, SIGINT in top. You can also SIGINT in top. Yep, if you want to do that. So you can actually also resume a backgrounded process so that it's running, and I never do that. You can send a job. In fact, it's under the jobs command. I should probably show you. So, what? No manual for jobs? What? Let's see if there's anything in here for jobs. Backgrounded jobs, executing jobs. So I don't ever use the jobs command. But actually, you can re-enable a backgrounded job if you want to, but it's not a common thing to do. So anyway, it's not worth doing. Mostly though, how do I get rid of these things without rebooting? So FG, and then you can end them properly, which is Control Q exclamation point. Or, and we'll do the next one the other way, jobs hater. I kind of am, because you don't need them. You don't need, in the old days, you might have needed jobs and backgrounding and all that stuff, but with Tmux and Screen these days, you don't need it. You just start a new pane and put a job in there. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, a job, not that job. No. So here I have a running, here's another way. Watch this, guys. So watch Shift. I'm in Escape. I'm in Shift ZQ. So Shift ZQ is the same as :Q exclamation point. We're getting into our VI stuff. So foreground. So now it's like, ooh, this thing is fine. No, I don't want to. Okay, fine. So then I do, now my fingers have memorized :Q exclamation point, even though Shift ZQ is faster. If you left Shift with your pinky and you right ZQ, it's much faster. And Shift ZZ is how you should always escape. People that do, what is it, AQ or QA, which I can never, or WQ or QW, I just can't even deal. Because it's like, I can never remember the order and my fingers haven't memorized it. So WQ, is it WQ? Because the other way doesn't work. So, but it's so much faster to just, guys, it's just so much faster to Shift ZZ. Shift ZZ does it, same exact thing. And of course, :X does the same thing. So, so yeah, anyway. So I don't think I have any jobs left. I think I got rid of them all. Good. And we're able to move on. Now, and then there's the last command, shutdown. ZZ is lazy, yes. Shutdown, which shutdown is a way of restarting your machine. Just make sure you're on the right machine. I have used the shutdown command on the corporate mail server, thinking I was on my laptop going home for the day. Be careful that you look at your prompt. And so if you have a cute little, prompt or something, make sure you look where you are. I did that. I did that once early in my career, and I thought I was going to lose my job, and I did not. I got it, kept it, and my boss kind of laughed at me. And so you can PWD first too if you really want to. I tend to do that. Otherwise, just absolutely make sure you know what system you're on. Okay, particularly if you're using Docker. So if you're using Docker or you've SSH'd from the same system, it's really easy to confuse yourself and not know what system you're on. And we talked about Docker containerization as a way to learn. It's a really great way to try things out. And we were talking about fork bombing and all that stuff. Boy, make sure you're on the same system when you do that. If you're not in your container or you're not in your virtual machine, then you can really have a bad day if you do that on the wrong system. So, you'll do it. Everybody will do it at one time. Yeah, it's the host name. Yeah. So, and then the kill, if you want to I told you about pkill. So if you don't have these in your notes, please put them there. They're not in the book. So htop, pstree, pgrep, pkill, and yeah, that's about it. And we talked about Control S to suspend, Control Q to resume. We talked about some other, and we talked about process signals in general. Break out of a container and fly off the handles. Yeah. So the bane of DM. Yes, I imagine. Yes. So I can imagine you guys would have that. That's not a fun thing. So here we go. We go back to viewing process. This is just recapping everything we did. You can do PSX. PS is one of the commands that if you ever land on a Solaris machine or some other, or AIX or something, or even on BSD, which includes Mac. Mac is BSD for all intents and purposes. Darwin is BSD. And if you will notice differences between the PS command, now to a large degree they've been smoothed over, but the PS command was one of the most annoying ones growing up with Linux and Unix, because PS-AUX, or not no dash AUX, PS-AEF was different than AUX, and you had to have different switches depending on different systems, and there was no POSIX standard for PS command. So I'm just going to say, I'm glad that they've, kind of settled a lot of that stuff. In fact, these days the PS command will respond the same way on either one. But if you happen to be on an old Solaris system, I think maybe more educational to ask Last Miles what the proper PS command is on Solaris, because he uses that all the time. There's a hacker in the 80s who was caught in part by watching which version of PS he used. Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. So this is, it's the process status. It shows you what's going on, and you can make it rather involved. It's usually when you're writing them in scripts, it's because you're like trying to capture a snapshot of all the processes on a system during a given moment. So let's see if we can take a break or not. So this is some things that you can do while top is running. Oh no, these are some of the other extra information from PS. I find that I don't use it very much, but it's worth knowing about. So you have another thing you can do. So there's the AUX. See that AUX? But dash EF is another one that my fingers have memorized too. So and it'll show you the different information about a process, how much memory it's taking up. But if you're just understanding what processes are and how to manage them, using the top and the PS grab, and the PS tree and stuff like that is better for educationally. So get into that. Top is your friend. And let's see. I'll let you go. Oh, X logo. Yeah. Controlling a process. So this, I wonder if even this is. I think this is the one that's on everything. Xeyes is the other one. Do I have it on here? Yep, there it is. So there are two graphics programs that are used to test the X system on pretty much everything. It's Xeyes and X logo, which is just the oh my god, look at how old that logo is. 1970s wants its logos back. So, but you can do Xeyes. So this is just a fun thing to mess with. But yeah, Xeyes is, you can like zoom it in too. Like, check this out. Full screen it. It's like watching me. It's watching you. It's watching. It's an 80s song, right? Oh god, please no. GLX gears. Yeah, people. Yeah, in fact, Jess used GLX gears, and Jess Frazzle used GLX gears in her Docker presentation. Yeah, I'm sorry. The GLX gears, that's probably way better of a test these days. Yeah, look at how fast it is, because that does use your this doesn't just test X. This tests your graphics, and it's not lagging too bad. It's pretty good, fun little things to try around. But you can kill them, and you can do all kinds of things. I'm sorry about burning your eyes there. I burned your eyes out with somebody else's eyes. All right, interrupting a process. We talked about that. Knowing me, knowing you. I know. All right, processing in the background. Oh, okay. So this is actually, I have an object lesson for this that I want to show you. That's really fun. All right. So this is backgrounding a process can sometimes be a really, really good thing. So let me show you a demonstration really quick. So this is, how many of these do I have? So remember WC we did yesterday, right? Watch, I'm going to count all of my directories here. 160. Let's do this way. Yep. So I have 160 different things in here to build with one pandoc command, right? So that would take me a long time. I'm going to do this object lesson really quick. So here is my build script, and I can't read it. So here's my build script, and what it does right now is it goes through and it builds every one of these things. It has to run pandoc on every one of them. And right now when I run the build script, it does it by backgrounding each of the processes and waits for them to finish. And it finishes like that. In fact, I can do a hyperfine test on this. Hyperfine, and you can see, whoops. And you should see how long it takes. it'll give you a quick little test. So this is an object lesson to show you why you might actually care about backgrounding a process. Backgrounding processes is generally not useful when you're just doing stuff. Maybe, just open up a new pane and run it under tmux and reconnect to it. So generally backgrounding a process is not really useful in the normal interactive sense, but when it comes to scripting, backgrounding a process is going to save the day. It allows you to have really high power concurrency for almost no price. So look at, I know I'm like a salesman here, right? Look at that, 1.54 seconds per run. All right, so if you needed 2 servers, maybe, yeah, but most of the time, I'm talking about interactive things. Usually if you want something like that, you want a daemon process or a server, or even like if you're running a Minecraft server, you would start up screen, and then you would start up your server in screen and reconnect to screen, and then you get your server process back. So I find backgrounding process is not very useful these days. It used to be really useful, but with the terminal multiplexers we have today, and just mostly because of that, it's just I don't find a lot of common usage. However, when you're writing scripts, backgrounding processes can make your bash faster, as fast as some other programs that have high concurrency, like Go or JavaScript or a thing. Watch how I show you this. So this program runs in 1.54 seconds in real time right now. In user time it's 7 seconds, it says. So we'll use that, okay? But now let's break it. So I'm going to break this build script, and I'm going to take out all the references to backgrounding. Okay, and we're going to talk about this when we script another time, but just suffice it to say that what this does is this runs it runs the process, it runs the render process, which runs pandoc, and then it puts it into the background. So when the render function gets called, it runs the render function in the background, and it keeps track of the ID, the process ID, which we just talked about, and puts the process ID into a list. And so when we get scripting, $bang is the ID of the last running process. You can do all kinds of fun things with that. You can actually use it for a unique file name in temp or something. But in this case, I'm actually gathering up all of these IDs from these backgrounded processes, and then I'm looping through and calling wait on each one. And what that does, so when you go through the whole list of process IDs, when you're doing this, what it does is when you call wait on a process ID, it causes the script to not execute, to not end until that process has ended. Now, if I didn't do that, what would happen? My script would end, and there would be tons of processes still running, and I would never have any indication of when they were all done. So you have to, if you're going to background a process, make sure you wait for it if you're doing it in a script. Yes, I believe it is local, but it doesn't matter because it's so ephemeral. You want to capture it right away. So you want to capture it right after you see it. All right, so what am I going to do here? I'm going to get rid of the backgrounding. Now we're going to see what this script would look like if I had not backgrounded it, all of those individual processes. So I'm going to run a build, and we have to wait for each one to build and run pandoc. And pandoc's pretty damn fast, but it takes quite a bit longer, right? And I only have 160 nodes. I have 800 of total nodes to port over to build up my whole system. And if I hadn't had the background, so let's run Hyperfind on that now, just to give you a comparison. But we're talking about a substantial difference, and that is, look at, just to get one iteration takes 7 seconds in CPU time. So it's like so slow. So basically, this is the most practical usage of backgrounding, is for you to gain high level, very well organized concurrency in your shell scripts. And I got to tell you, that is monumentally huge, because if you're building a kernel, however, right, who knows how long that would take. So yeah, if you want to do something like that, generally when I'm building a kernel, or I'm compiling a kernel, or I'm doing some big CPU-C job, I have a different tmux pane running that's doing that kind of thing. So I don't necessarily want to background it, because here's my problem. Every time I background something, I forget I backgrounded it. I forget I opened up new terminals and new windows in tmux, let alone backgrounding jobs. So from a practical perspective, I find backgrounding things very problematic, because I forget they're there. I forget, it's bad enough when I zoom in on a Tmux pane and forget that that's just one member of like a screen that's got 10 panes on it, right? So there you go. So that's 6 seconds. That's like quite a bit more time. That's, 600% more times. Watch jobs, you can do watch jobs too. There's lots of ways of doing it. Everyone has their own approach. My approach is to just use Tmux for everything. And that way I have a different window. Everything is right in front of me all the time. When I control W, I know where the things are. See, if I were to do that with a backgrounded process, it would show me I have a shell, but it wouldn't show the backgrounded processes in that shell. And so I tend to put things into panes and have them run on their own so that I can go look around at all those panes. I very rarely will background. However, I didn't want to leave the backgrounding topic without showing you, how powerful that is when you're writing shell scripts, because that is your fastest way. And it's actually pretty easy concurrency considering how difficult concurrency, like with Go routines in Go is, or God help you, threads in C or something, or Rust. So that's some pretty damn good concurrency that uses the actual operating system's optimized backgrounding and management of processes, which is already optimized for you. You don't have to write that code. Manage your concurrency and get more bang for your dollar. That's fantastic. It was well said. Well said. Kudos for that comment. So anyway, I think we're going to leave this for a bit, and I'm going to take at least a 5-minute break. Normally we go and I take a break at around 2. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break, come back and regroup. I have to stop talking for a bit, and then when we come back, we're going to try to see where we are. You can read about the other jobs things. I'm not going to punch those things hard because I don't. Here's the signals that we talked about. So these are the different signals you can send to things. pkill does the same thing. So you can add that to that knowledge. Again, I'm assuming you've read this stuff or will be reading it. That's why we're zooming through it. There's the different processes I won't get into. Kill all, that kills everything. You just do wait, and it waits all background jobs. Just my PA if you don't want to wait all. I wasn't sure about that one. Are you asking a question? Because I've never done that. I only wait on PIDs. That's the only way I've used wait before. I'd love to entertain that possibility. Shutting down the system, sudo reboot. You guys know about that. I don't need to talk about it. So we're actually done with just wait. Are you sure? No, because I tried that. It doesn't work. If it does, I'm going to VIP you right now. I'm going to try it right now during my return from my break. Are you sure? All right, don't mess with me. You're telling me I don't even need my PIDs list? Are you telling me I don't need my PIDs list? Because I'm very skeptical of that. They are sub-processes, so... I mean, this is the way I learned it. All right. Well, if that's true, then yeah. Yep. This works. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? So Sarcini gets the VIP for telling me the obvious that I haven't known for 20 years. I don't use wait that much, but when I do, I've always done it that way. So now I just learned an awesome thing in front of all of you, and now you guys know that you no longer need to wait for all the PIDs, and that the person who taught me to do that was full of it. All right, so there you go. I waited 20 years to learn wait. Seriously, I'm feeling very schooled right now, and I'm grateful to be schooled. A little embarrassed, I'll admit. But then again, here, can I tell you one thing that nobody knows, that everybody I tell? All right, when I run top, it's alias to htop, okay? How do you run it? What if I want to run the actual top, /top? Then it runs the real top. So there, maybe I can teach you something that you didn't know. For 20 years, so many people tell me they've been coding for 20 years and never knew that one. That's also something I learned within the last 4 months. So if anything, this stream has been good for that. I'm going to go take a break. Don't be RDX Rob. It is tricky. It is really tricky to be me. But I'll take a break. 5 minutes at the top. So I'll be back in like not too long. I'm just going to grab a drink and come back. We'll be covering whatever comes next. after this. Read through your books. See you in a bit. Okay. We got to get going. Hey, we are going to cover the environment now, and this is a big thing to cover. I have to pause because it is such a big thing. So what is the environment? The environment is everything that is happening in your shell environment. And that's a lot of things. That includes variables, that includes settings like set-ovi we talked about yesterday. It includes functions. It's just a lot of stuff. And again, this is one of those variable variables are the most important thing probably. And so that's the next thing that's coming up. As you know, I actually have people joke with me about what I'm ever doing on a random stream when I'm not doing these. It's like messing with my dot files. I spend almost every waking moment writing scripts or messing with my dot files, which is a cultural way to refer to all of your configuration for your shell. So much so that I've made my own build process for my dot files. And it's just so much fun because it's just one of the greatest attractions from Linux in general is the power you have over your own environment. This is what allows me to, to do searching from the command line, search for Linux environment. Let's see what pulls up, I can make my little scripts to do this stuff. I'm running Lynx, which has been customized. I'm running a customized version of Tmux. It's got the border removed because I compiled my own version. I'm running ASCII aquarium fish with no backgrounds in Tmux. All of this stuff falls under the classification of messing with your environment. So it's actually one of the most rewarding things. It's also one of the most dangerous things if you get wrong in a production environment. So there's, things like your path. If you set // to put it to be in your path, that's a ridiculously insecure way to do things. If you set your CD path incorrectly. And frankly, this single section, I would rather spend an entire week on customizing your environment. I'm seriously thinking about adding 2 or 3 days just to doing that and maybe stealing a little bit of the time. Scream sub, nice. So you kind of need to just realize that this is one of the biggest parts about Linux. And another big part about your environment that they don't really cover very much is the ability to take your environment and put it on another system quickly. And if you want to watch me do that, we did that, I don't remember the week, but the day, but we did Minecraft. I think it was in the cloud. It was day 2 of the Linux week. And I was able to copy my bash RC file, my vimrc file, my tmux config file in one command over to a remote DigitalOcean cloud server and recreate my environment exactly the way I have it here. So having, you can use Symlinks for sure. And we will talk about Symlinks, but this is just one way to see how that's working. We're talking about using Symlinks for your configuration environment too. Another thing that Mr. Schatz doesn't cover in this book, in this section, is creating a modular environment. In other words, one that can be maintained in a GitLab repo and that you can use Symlinks to manage without them getting in the way of being able to transfer those files quickly to a remote system if you needed to do that. And whether or not you should use your bash RC versus your bash aliases. We're going to get into all of that, but I just wanted to preface this conversation about configuring your environment with kind of a disclaimer about what a huge topic it is. We're actually supposed to cover editors today. We already did a VI survival guide and bash profile, right, and profile itself and blah, blah, blah. And so there's just a lot to cover here, and that's not covered fully in there. And there's going to be a lot of annotations in my final version that cover this. But for right now, I'm just going to talk through the high points of it. And I'm going to refer you to my bash config if you want to. There's many other people's bash config. I encourage you guys to share each other's configuration files. As usual, the best way to learn about a good bash config is to find a few people that you like and trust and look at their bash config and learn from it. That is how I've learned pretty much everything about my bash config. For a very long time, I didn't even know what some of the options did. I just put them because I trusted somebody else. So I encourage you to try to figure out what all of those options do, and decide if those are things you want to put in your config, or you want to just put in the scripts themselves. So hopefully that's not too much of a blah blah introduction, and we can get right into it. And so when we're talking about an environment, usually the first thing people think about with an environment is environment variables. And there are a number of commands to dealing with your environment. To tell you the truth, I have never once used the printenv command. I don't know why anybody would. Maybe somebody has a good reason to use it. I use set all the time. Set is how you set options for your shell. The most important option, everyone should, this is the first command I do on any remote system, set-ovi. And that sets my history to use VI navigation rather than the really brain dead Emacs navigation, which I personally detest to no end. And it's why I get so triggered and added, oh, just use Control L to the stupid list. On this stream, I admit to picking up lots of things I didn't know. Yeah. Reasons for printing NV. I have several. Okay, well, post them for us in the chat, Ramingo, because I cannot find. Okay. So before we get into this, you know what I just told you? I just confessed about me constantly messing. I know. Ouch to the eyes. I am going to confess something here, that I am actually in the middle of a massive redo of my config. I kind of always am. And one of the last things that I did in my, I actually wrote up, if you want to read about that, I wrote up how to do that. It's called RWX, let's see, RWXGG, wx.gg, what is it? Repos. Nope, God, I can't remember. Repo. Oh, I just added it. This is why I have to add a changes list. I just did a lesson last night with a guy, and I posted it, called managing repos, setting up local repos. That's it. All right, so RBX.gg, local repos. This is my take on setting up local repos. This is not covered in the environment configuration at all. It also doesn't cover up how to do symlinks, but it does cover just how to set up local repos and why I believe you should put them in that way. I made fun because it made me think about my top files should be. BitLinux is a bottomless bit. And let's see. So that blinding moment happened because I tried to print out my environment, and I just realized just now I'm not going to be able to do a lot of my commands like env and pre-env because some of my environment variables are terminal colors. And you're like, well, why would I ever do that? It's because I do stuff like this, red something, and I get a red, or I do blue, or I do like cyan or saffron, and I can get, whoops, that's not a thing apparently. Oh, I guess that really isn't a thing. But anyway, so I actually currently have in my environment all of the CSS colors loaded as environment variables. And some people would think that is disastrous. Like I said, I build my environment based on my target system. I would never put over I think 300 colors into my environment unless I was doing this on my own personal system. And I was just doing it. So I don't want anybody to get to practice this kind of rampant disregard for environment space and memory in a production system. but it is a trick. Yeah, 256. And this is how I've organized my environment. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to go through it as best I can. I think the best way for me to cover this environment stuff is to describe how I've done my environment, and let you read the book and then compare the two and decide what you want to do with that. This is really going to be the only time I'm going to be able to talk about it. So I'm just going to use that as a method of introducing how I've chosen to configure things, and then you can combine that with other knowledge. Okay, so it's really important though that you understand a few of these commands. So set sets the options. The most important option you'll ever set is set-ovi. I really believe that. Export. Export makes a thing, a variable, visible to everything after that, and we'll get into that. And then we have aliases. And aliases are what allow me to do stuff like this. So we already learned type and which, so you should know these things. So type, alias, type, let's do the top alias. So top is alias to htop. And if I want to use the actual top command, I can use which top. It'll show me the top has been top. If I want to use that command and turn off the alias, I do /top, and it will run the actual top at user bin top. And I can prove that by actually running which top as a command. And like that. So you see what I did there? So so there I'm running, I'm looking for the top that it, so the which top is exactly the same as /. Yeah, it actually turns off everything. It turns off functions. So if you have a function that's the same name. So for example, I have a function called fish. So, type fish. Fish is a script. Actually, in this case, I can't turn that one off. But if for a long time, my fish command was an alias. Let me just make one caution to you, not to use aliases. If you use too many aliases, this is not a university lecture. It's kind of is. It's the same style, but not officially. It's all free. So let me show you this. Let's see. So this is actually the README from my configuration directory, and this is my choice of technology depending on the need. I use an aliases when I'm never going to run anything from an interactive shell. Okay, an alias is a way to like the most popular one is LL. It's actually I don't have mine, but so you can go ahead and do LL. And usually that's a set by default. In fact, let me go to my sample account, which has all the defaults on it. And let me just give me 1 second. So this is a basic account that doesn't have anything on it. And you can see that it comes with the LL alias by default. That's because it's been written to a file called bashrc. You should have had at least enough survival for VI to do this. The book kind of like waffles around what to use this to edit your environment, and it covers that before it covers VI, which is the next segment. So if you still are not comfortable in VI, I'm not going to judge you if you use Nano. So if you need to use Nano to look at your bashrc file, you can do that. And this you have to use the arrow keys. It's just like, and stuff. This makes me I can't look at this for too long or I'm going to go crazy. But this is Nano. So if you don't know VI yet, if you should already have had a lot of VI practice, because we did that the first week. All right. So, and this is why I hate it, because it makes you do Control X to exit and do all this other crap. So, they actually in the book suggest you use gedit, and I don't even think that's on the system anymore. Let me just go try that. It's going to require edit. No, so that's not an option. Don't use that. Really, honestly though, you should just learn. You should learn VI. Okay. Yes, there is a Nano RC thing. So here we go. Here we have our bashrc. It's for GNOME, KDE, and stuff like that. Yeah. How do I exit from VM? Ha ha ha. Escape Shift ZZ is the fastest way to get out. Okay. So so here we go. We have our we have all this stuff here. I should probably turn screen key on. Okay. So here we go. We're in this bashrc file. Okay. Now this is another thing I struggle with when teaching this, because they're jumping you into the environment and how to do things like export. And then it says you're going to export an environment variable. Well, what's a variable? You haven't even been taught what a variable is. Okay, so I'm going to back up, and for 30 minutes, I'm going to try my hardest to teach you the very, very basics of Bash programming, because you need to understand these basics, because they talk about the environment. You can't talk about the environment without knowing what a variable is. So they don't even talk about those things. So an alias is just an alias, it's just another way to refer to something. But an environment variable is how you store some bit of information about this. This is going to be good. So the frustration I have here is that it's not teaching you about the basics of scripting, and then it's trying to tell you about stuff that affects your environment that uses scripting terminology, and it just really annoys me. So I have to back up, and I have to tell you about some things. So we're actually going to learn about how to set a variable. This is part of next week's lesson, but let's do it. How do you set a variable? As we talked about already, your shell is a running program. When you use a terminal shell, Bash shell, you are writing, it's like you're writing one continuous program the whole time. Every single line gets executed as you write it. And that's really cool. So you're going to go ahead and set a variable. Let's say I want to say, yeah, let's do name equals RWX raw. Okay. And I hit enter, and now I can look at that name with the echo command. Echo is print, and I can just put a $sign in front of it, and I can look at it. So there's your, hello world. Let's do hello world from the shell. Okay. Echo, it's empty. Wait, why did it do that? Why did it do that? Was it a subshell? Because I didn't, what happened? Oh, duh. Stupid me. All right. So anyway, let's do this. So let's start with hello world. Okay. Thank you guys. So echo hello world. There's your hello world. As I've said, you are running a programming language every time you write a command. And it's important that you understand that Bash is an interpreted language, which means it takes all of the things you type in, interprets them into system commands that it then sends to the kernel, and it runs using syscalls, they're called. So everything we can trace all the syscalls in a security focused like thing some other day, but basically that's what an interpreter does. So I always talk about C3PO when we talk about C3PO, interpreter. It was an interpreter, it's translating binary language of moisture evaporators and stuff like that. It takes in information, what you type in, and it translates it so the machine can understand it and says, hey, go do this. And that means displaying output, running processes, all sorts of stuff. So once again, I just have to hit home the point. So when we talk about the environment is kind of like the stuff around your ongoing program that you're running every time you use a shell. So you've got aliases, you've got variables, you've got functions, you have all of those things, because your interaction with the terminal is like a dynamic real-time program that you're writing as you do it. And this is why learning Bash scripting comes so naturally immediately after, if not before, you learn the terminal, and why we're going to do Bash as the first language and then come back to that. So yeah, if you had been Bash into a script, everything that you type on the command line can actually be put into a script. So let's look at what those things are. So here's your hello world, right? Hello world. Yeah. Okay, so we have hello world, right? And we're not going to do shebang liner scripts today. We're going to do this next week. But let's talk about just all of these same things on the command line. So echo hello world, it runs, right? If I wanted to put like you can read about this, right? A \n. If I wanted to do escape sequences, I do -e. And you have to learn about each thing as you go. But again, if I want an alias is a part of the Bash programming language, not just your environment. So you could actually write an alias in your script if you wanted to. But aliases are only interactive, if I remember right. So don't mess with those. And again, this comes back to my, did I lose it already? Nope, I think I lost it. All right, so, no, that's a different program. Anyway, what I was going to try to talk about here was the README from my .dot files. So I actually wrote down when to use what, and it's in here. It's in my another README. So aliases are when you just want to save yourself some typing, but they're only for the interactive shell. And a lot of people don't know this, but you really shouldn't use aliases in Bash. In fact, the man page for Bash tells you not to use them in nice words, aliases. So we're going to go through aliases. I'm searching through the aliases man page. It says, okay, and we're talking about aliases. Aliases are not expanded when the shell is not interactive unless the expand aliases shell option is set using shop, which is a super bad idea. And okay, it says here, there is no mechanism for using arguments in the replacement text. In other words, when you're doing an alias, you get very little. It basically replaces what you're typing with what the alias is, and that's it. There's no way to give it new information, arguments. If the arguments are needed, a shell function should be used. And so it comes down here, and this is the statement that really says it all. This is the bash man page itself saying, for almost every purpose, aliases are superseded by shell functions. Okay, so what's a shell function? And we should need to use it. But the reason I'm showing you this manual, the actual authors of bash telling you not to use aliases if you can use a shell function, is because of this. The first time you write an alias, you're like, well, now what, right? So I've got my alias, I have ls-l, but now I can't use it in a script or anything. And so, because it hasn't been written as a function. So we're using a new word you don't know yet called function. And that's actually, that question you asked, Tef, is exactly that. When does it make sense to do an alias versus a function versus a POSIX script versus a bash script versus a Node script versus a Python script versus a Go program, a Rust program, a C program, and an assembly code? So, and I want to go through all of those one at a time. So we already know that aliases should only be used for the most minimal of things because they don't go with you unless you really work at it. And they don't propagate to other sub-processes. And now you know what that means. What sub-process is a process that is a child of another process, okay? And this is where the term export comes in. POSIX is dash, yep. And so just let me justify this for those who know. My justification for this is if I don't need anything more than basic POSIX scripting, don't use it. POSIX scripts are way faster than bash scripts. For most things, but bash provides things that POSIX does not. So like regular expression matching and all that stuff that we'll get into that's actually in the book. And then if I need JSON manipulation or something quick with, something JavaScript-y, I'll use Node. If I need machine learning or some math intensive operations, some Python, if I use compilation of any kind, then I want to be able to share it across multiple platforms. I use Go. If I need the same thing without garbage collection, such as Alacrity or that kind of application, I would pick Rust. Other than that, I'm using C or assembly if needed. So these are my preferences when it comes to being efficient and empowered. Dash is backward compatible with SH. Yes, 100%. So what is a function? A function is just a collection. I call functions mini programs. And so we can actually write one right here. Why? Because we are in the middle of writing an interactive sort of program. So let's make one. So we made an alias already. We already have an environment variable, right? So let's do echo $name. Oops. Did I not invite? It's not, this is my wrong one. Okay, here we go. So echo name, echo hello world. Okay. And then I can do, let's do this. Let's do echo hello $name. And that's the use of a variable. Okay. Get rid of this. All right. Hello name. There's another program that's called printf. Which we could do the same thing. We go hello, $s, I think, and then $name. So these are all built-in functions, if you want, that are a part of Bash. And I think printf is built-in too. They've gone back and forth between being built-ins and actual commands, and printf is one of those examples. There's actually a binary printf command that runs, and there's also a printf built into Bash. And the reason for that is because of the legacy nature of shell in general. When shell was first invented, Bourne shell was invented, everything was a command, and we talked about this the other day, including user bin left bracket. Left bracket is an if statement. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Bash adopted many of these things and put them into its language interpreter, and since that's the language we're running interactively, which by the way you can change. We talked about this the other day, but if you want to change your interactive shell, you could go down and change it here on sample. You can see it's running bin bash. But if I wanted to run bin sh, I could do that, and then I would, my interactive shell would be more restrictive. It would only allow POSIX commands from dash, which is what bin. The difference between printf and echo. Printf allows you to you'll see this in all programming. Printf allows you to put things in different places. So you can say here is, let's see, my age. My age, let's see, is it D? So let me give you an actual really good example of where printf would make a difference. So if I wanted to say I had a variable and it had the current week in it. Okay, so let me see if I can do this really quickly off the hand. So date, guys, what is it? Percent, is it, somebody help me out here. It's percent M. Yeah, I think that's the day of the month. Okay, so I think I could use underscore M, or I could use capital M. Anyway, how about the hour? Let's use hour. Oh, it's capital H for hour. Yeah. So basically, if I wanted to have, there's all sorts of different commands like this, but this is one case where you might want to have that. So let's say we had a variable called we said so I don't know, let's do a week. So week equals, let's say it's like week 5, and then we have a variable, and then if I just do echo, I want it to be to have the week in it, but I want it to have a 0 in front, right? Well, what if it's week 10? Oops. So if I can do 0 like that, right? Epic isn't for everyone. Yeah, but so this is one where, well, what happens if the week changes? Now I have week equals 14. Now I have a 0 in front of the 14. All right, so this is one practical example for using printf. Printf, I could say I want to have WK $D, and this is a whole format you have to learn. 0 means it's 0 padded it. I want it to be 0 padded, and I want it to have 2 spaces in it. And then over here I could put week, and if it was 14, it does it right. And if I reset week to 5, it will still put a 0 in there. Okay, so that's the difference between printf and echo. It's a format specifier, and this is universal to every programming language. It also doesn't print a line return. I don't think you'd probably notice that, but oh man, my shell's not happy. Let me go here. Okay, so dash \d. So freely. So there we go. So yeah, actually, it's more precise of a print thing. And so again, these are functions within the Bash language, and they have parallels in other languages. So we've talked about variables. We talked about how aliases are just for interactivity. That's it. You should never rely on them for any kind of scripting, to stay around. And the Bash man page itself suggests use functions. Well, let's write a function. So let's write a function that prints out it's a stupid function, but let's just write a function that prints hello world. So we can actually write function, which I never do. So if you know shell, you know that the word function is from Bash, and it is unnecessary. Sometimes it's not necessary to make something a Bashism, and so you can go ahead. I wouldn't touch fish with a 10-foot pole. I would use the standard Linux shell, which is Bash. Same with Z shell. Z shell is the official shell of Apple Macintosh. Who wants to use that? Okay, so if you're going to make a function, the POSIX way to create a function is to write the name of the function. And this is different than JavaScript or anything else you might have encountered, but you can actually do it from the command line. We don't need a script for this. You can say, let's say greet. Okay, so greet space conventionally is between, this is just a convention. There's a space. These parentheses don't mean anything. There's no arguments that are going to go in there if you're used to other languages. It just means, hey, here comes a function. Which is different than most people will be used to. And you can actually type it here. So we're going to type our curly. left curly bracket, and now it gives us a prompt saying, hey, it's ready to go. Let's type the body of the function. And since we're doing it from the command line, we're not going to talk about Z shell and how disastrously bad it is right now. If you needed me to talk to you about that, the first thing it doesn't have is exported functions. So stay tuned and I'll show you one of the biggest reasons. So here you go. Greet is, the biggest reason is it's non-standard. It's 100% non-standard. So use greet, and if you put anything in here, it'll do it. So what do we want greet to do? We want greet to echo hello, and then we want it to echo, let's just say greet hello there. We'll just say just basic function, enter, and then another curly, and then enter, and now the function is defined. And if you do type greet, so there you go. There's our function. We've defined a function in real time without even writing a script. So then we go ahead and we can run our function, greet. And as soon as you define a function, the function is every bit the same as any other command on your system. Okay. Now that's super cool, and every single shell can do that, including Z shell. But what Z shell cannot do is export that function. You don't care about that yet, but you will. So right now we're running greet, and we can do it. Now, the whole reason for that, I mean, I could have done that as an alias, right? What if I did that as an alias? I could have just done that as an alias. But so let me go back to the, I mean, nobody ever uses functions in an interactive session. I'm just making a point of showing that it can be done, and that this is a preface to next week when we show how to put these functions inside of a program of some kind. But there's nothing stopping you from writing one interactively really quickly. Now the problem is obviously I can't go back and edit the thing, right? So if I have to go back and edit it, I have to go back here, and look, I can actually change my function here. See, here's my function. Look what it did for me. Did you see how my history helped me out here? Good thing I have set-ovi on, because I can go use vi to edit my command line history just like I was editing a file, because I use set-ovi. Do I need to make my case any more about set-ovi? All right, so I can come over here and I can change this using the same vi keys that I use to edit a script that's in a file. So I go to now I'm going to change out. No, you shouldn't. You should. Yeah. We don't use arrow keys. You should never use arrow keys. Arrow keys are bad. So yeah, those are all totally stupid options, because as soon as you go onto any system that doesn't have fish, you're dead. All right. So anyway, watch this. I'm going to write. So I want to replace. The hello me or there world with something that comes from an argument. It's called, we've talked about arguments before. So, and I have $1. So now I have a new script. My script has now been rewritten, and now it's using a variable. The variable is $1. $1 is a special variable. See, I didn't want to have to get into all this shell scripting with you, but $1 is the variable that is the first thing passed to it. So greet Rob. And when I do greet Rob, it says hello Rob. Okay, I was able to redefine that function right here without too much hassle, right? And we're going to learn some fancier ways to do that, but I'm trying to make the case for you right now that this is why functions are more powerful than recommended above aliases, not just by me, but by the bash man page itself recommends that you should use functions instead. Okay, now here's where subprocesses become a thing. All right, so let's say I actually write a script that wants to use that. Use the features that you probably have all the features, you just don't know you don't have them. Do you know about CD path? We'll talk about that another time. There are so many things that people don't know about Bash that, for example, CD completion. And I'm not going to, I need to actually just have a session where all I do is go one for one about everything that Z Shell does that they didn't know Bash already did. Okay. Internet with the VI crisis, internet-less world with only VI crisis. Yeah, no, we're not. We're training ourselves for working in a professional environment for an insurance company or a bank or IBM that has thousands of servers that have nothing but VI on them. If you want to be a proficient, a senior administrator in any professional capacity, you have to know how to be functional on multiple systems, and you will not have a change ticket approved to put your fucking fish and Z Shell on the system. The end of rant. Okay. I get really triggered because people are talking out of their ass about stuff that does not have relevance in the real professional world. And so the first time you suggest to somebody at Bank of America to use Control L to clear his screen on a remote AIX system that he logged into, he'll laugh in your fucking face. So I'm trying to help you people, okay? I'm trying to help you. And what I'm trying to tell you is learn the stuff that works everywhere because it's still there, okay? Sorry, and get my composure back, but I'm just a little bit tired of hearing about that. All right. I know. I'm back down. Sorry, Data. I know you don't like swear words, but I promise not to do any more today. Okay, so here we go. So if you go to, and that's not just me. I had a senior engineer from Lowe's come into a Friday night tech talk and ask everybody in the room specifically what editor they used, and made sure to ask them. I didn't even prompt this. I couldn't have planned it better. He said, make sure you don't use the arrow keys in your Vim because it's going to stop your efficiency later on. Anyway. So let's go back to, do we have an explosion counter? Okay. No, you can't. You can't install it on you don't know what you're talking about. You are able to install it, but you have no idea how change management works in an enterprise. And if you did have an idea of how change management worked in an enterprise, the consideration of installing your favorite shell into a production system would laugh in your face at that suggestion. So no, we're not going to talk about that anymore. They do allow changes in the enterprise, but if you don't know what enterprise change management is like or feels like, and I know there's CI/CD now, blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying. So, CI/CD still doesn't get you your favorite Emacs configuration on your remote system. Now, hopefully that's changed, but you're talking to a guy who's been jaded by 10 years of IBM where change management is not a thing that you can just ask. It's like, oh, I want, my fancy thing over here. So enjoy your fancy stuff. You might, okay, anyway, back to what we were doing. So the enterprise isn't everything. That's true. And if you're not working in enterprise, that's fine. I am preparing people to be functional anywhere and everywhere and not just in their favorite little corner of the world with their own operating system. And frankly, I don't like being told what to do either. So I work for myself so I can make my own stuff and do crazy colors in my shell. I'm with you. But I'm just telling you, I don't want to prepare a general workforce that's incapable of editing files on a system that doesn't have Emacs on it or Z Shell. That's not my vision for the future. Nor is it most professors or enterprise trainers. I statically build shell to every server I get SSH into. Boy, you better not tell them about that. Putting a new shell on a server without authorization, IBM would get you fired on the spot. And we're talking about managing Fortune 500 company servers. If you did that, if you activated a personal shell on a remote system doing that, you would get fired for that. I'd be very careful who you tell about that. Okay, I mean, it's one thing to copy over files that are related to your support tasks. It's another one to install a shell on a remote system. God, I don't even want to think about that. Okay, so anyway, so hopefully this little rant has protected some of you from getting fired and maybe prepares more of you to be productive on multiple systems. Okay, so yeah, I'm not saying you do need to know more than one tool. I'm not saying don't know more than one tool. Okay, what I'm saying is be productive anywhere. If you like big iron, it's science or enterprise. If you can live without it, it takes more agile like madness. Yeah, and that's true. And there's nothing wrong with being agile on that kind of thing. So I got to get my composure back here. The reason that VI is undoubtedly, again, I have a bias towards pen testing and security, and if your bias is toward living on the same system, then yeah, Emacs is a wonderful browser. We're not going to have a fight about that, or Z Shell or Fish or whatever you want. But Bash is the enterprise. I mean, not just the enterprise. Bash is the world standard for Linux shells. The end. And VI is the only included editor by default on all Unix systems. The end. I don't know why we have to have this talk every time. So it's a game collection. All right. So back to what we were doing. So we were talking about the need for functions and how we're doing functions. And now let's go back and get our bearings again we're really talking about the environment. But the reason I had to start teaching you shell is so that you can understand the explanation about the environment. Okay. So what I'm suggesting is that when someone says export, you need to know, why do I care about export? So let me show you why you care about export. They don't talk about this in the environment. Not very well anyway. So this is why you care about exports. Remember that greet function I made? Greet, hello, greet me, hello me. Okay, here's a function. Let's say I want to use that function from a script. Now you don't know to do scripts yet, but I'm going to just show you. So we're going to make a script here really quickly. BinSH, we'll just use BinSH. That just uses dash, which is POSIX compliant script. So, and that'll work with Z shell or anything. So then let's do that. Let's say I want to run greet. Okay, greet Rob. And then I want to have greet Joe, or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I want to do this. Okay. Now let's try. Oops. Yep. I want to run. Oh, really? You kidding me? Can't open file for adding. Oh, it didn't exist already. Whoopsie. Oh, I see what's going on. All right, temp sample foo. Bin shell. Greet Rob. Greet Joe. All right, so yeah, I didn't touch it. I know. I'm sorry. I went right for the VI. But and then I need to chmod it. Now plus X. This is all stuff we're going to cover next week. I just want to give you a sense of why. I can't type today. All right, so now I can run it, right? Sample foo. What happened? Did you see that? I want you to read that screen and be really sure you understand what just happened. Because if you understand what just happened, you will understand export and why, and frankly, indirectly, why bash is superior to Z shell. I just made a function that runs greet just fine. Greet Rob. What is going on? Why won't my program run? It can't find my greet function. I ran it from a shell. It's defined in my shell. Why can't it see it? Anybody have an answer? I guarantee you that would be a question on a test about this material. If you were to have it, it can't find the function. Nope, has nothing to do with home. It has nothing to do with home. It's kind of warm though. Can I open sample foo again? Temp sample foo. Not in scope. Okay, you're getting warmer. Bash is getting bloat Z shells proper. Yeah, have fun with that. Proper open source MIT. I just don't want to see that anymore. At least not today. Okay. All right. So, yeah, what's going on? So, what do we got? So, needs to be imported? No, absolutely the opposite of that. Okay. And in this case, unexported path. Okay. So where is greet? Whoops. Type greet. So you guys have gotten really close, but no one has answered it right dead on yet. Okay. So it's hard to talk about. It's hard to describe. The short answer to this little quiz is the greet function has not been exported and is therefore not available to child processes. So unpack that statement in your head. I really want you to understand that. So the export function, whatever you want to call it, what it does is it takes a variable, in the case of bash, or a function, and makes it available to all child processes, including the script I just ran. And anything that is not exported is not available to any sub-processes for many reasons, primarily of which is security. So, when they throw export out at you on the front page and don't explain it, it triggers me, because you have to know what export means, why it matters. Okay, so watch now. Export greet. Okay, anybody want to guess what it's going to do? If I did it right. They still can't find it. Now that's a different problem. That's because I'm a moron. I forgot to do the shebang. Oh, don't watch me. Why are you guys learning from me? I didn't even do my shebang right, and nobody caught it. All right. Please work. Please work. You know what? It's that rant. My brain doesn't even work out. Did you know that if you add cortisol to your system, you do stupid things like trip over? I know. I just saw it. I know, because I'm a little dyslexic now. I am just really triggered. Greet is still not found. Why is Greet not found? Well, it should have worked. Oh, I'm sorry. So now let's do it this way. Well, it's actually not been exported in the subshell, so I actually have to put that in my bash shell. So it's a longer process, but watch this. So watch /temp/sample foo. And there you go. That works. All right. So, all right. So what's going on here? And actually my export does work. It just isn't getting picked up by the subshell. Why not? Why isn't it getting picked up by the subshell? Because when the subshell fires off, it's apparently not getting the greet function. So I don't know. Let me try. Let me see if I can do this again. But anyway, so before we move on to that, I don't know. I don't think it's tmux in this case, but that is the approach. That is the proper approach. There's something not right here, and I'm kind of all over the place. But that is how you do it. So this dot, by the way, what does the dot do? The dot does something different. Okay, the dot or the word source, they're interchangeable. I use the word source when source is kind of like import. Okay, and you'll see this in scripts a lot if you've done any other programming. Dot, however, is the same as source, but it's also POSIX compliant, and it's easier to type. So dot says, basically, it's when you use dot on a file, it says to do every single line of that file as if it had been typed. So you see what I'm saying? And so the reason that sourcing it works is because it can see the greet function. Because if we were to print env greet, please watch your eyes here. I might screw this up. Nope. Let me do this one. env grep greet. Nope, still not there. Oh, maybe I didn't export it properly. Did I not export it? What's going on here? Someone got something? Let's see. So question, why is dot and source the same? I can't get it out of my head. Dot is always just present directory. You know what? That is one of the very unfortunate legacy issues with the syntax of bash, and I completely agree with you, Table. Okay, if you do dot slash, that's the present directory. If you do dot, it means run the current directory. So for the sake of this confusion, I'll just use source every time. All right, and then that actually runs everything. The thing that's cool about source is that when you source a file, you don't even need a shebang line if it's a bash file. So if I get rid of this line, it'll still run because it will run it with the current shell. And that's another thing that they don't. We're going to talk about it in the scripting. We're going to overlap this again when we talk about scripting in 2 weeks or next week. So, I kind of feel like we need to do some bash scripting before this part of the book, because the understanding your environment is all about understanding scripting, and the two are the same. And I'm just trying to make that point. So I don't feel like the book does that really good justice. Anyway, so I should be able to export the greet function. Let me go see if I can find it again. You know what? Oh man, that would be interesting. I think I might have just found something out here. So this, yeah, anyway, where's the greet? So I'm searching through my history using VI mode, and now I'm going to export this. Export greet. I wonder if it only does it in the subshell. Yeah, greet is still a function, but I don't think it's been exported. I don't know. I'm kind of doing this out of order, and that's why I'm kind of discombobulated. Let's do this. So, and somebody, okay, bin sh, let's do bin bash. No, you can do an export inside of a script, but it doesn't have to be a script. That's kind of what I'm trying to show. I think the reason is because the sub shell that's being fired off, it's not in the bash shell. Actually, watch. I know how to fix this. So the shell that's being forked off isn't being forked off from this shell, so it's getting a new shell. And this is where bash RC comes in. And guess what? We're back full circle on bash RC. So so the reason that it's not doing that, or bash aliases, wherever you want to put it, let's put it in bash aliases, which we're going to talk about for the next hour. We're not going to get to the VI stuff. Bash aliases. So let's add our function here. Okay, so here's our greet function, and we have it exporting. You don't need that little fancy thing. It's just a way to do it. I don't think you can put export in front of there, so let's try that. Now watch. So I actually think this will work this time now that it's in the shell, because greet command not found still. Exec bash. I'm being triggered on something simple. Greet command not found. I just exported it. Sample. No, POSIX doesn't have functions, but this isn't a POSIX shell. That's what I was trying. I'm trying to make that point actually. Oh, thank God. In fact, can I just give you a VIP for that right now? I mean, seriously, thank God for catching me. I knew I was doing something stupid. You know, sometimes you ban one person, you VIP another one. Oh, I can't VIP you on this system. It was mentioned earlier. Okay, well, I'll wait. I'm sorry I forgot the -F because I'm kind of all over the place right now. I'm so wired from the fight. Gotta calm down. All right, so yeah, I forgot the -F because I'm an idiot today. And so yeah. Oh, did he mention it? Good. I'm glad it was him. So export -F for the win. You cannot -F in Z shell. It does not exist. Primary case number 1 to not use Z shell. Primary case number 2, it's not the standard bash shell. Export greet. And now finally sample. It's not force. It stands for function. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you. You guys had it there. See, now it works. That's what it was supposed to do all along. All right. So the moral of the story is, number 1, bash suggests you don't use aliases and that you use functions as much as possible. Because why? Because you can accept arguments like I just proved. Number 2, use bash over Z shell because functions can be exported and used. Now, and then the third thing is sometimes you don't want just an export. So yeah, it actually would work. You're absolutely right. Good catch on that. So there's really no reason that the script itself couldn't be completely different. We can make this bin sh. It should work just fine because the greet function will be found. It could be, frankly, you know what's really cool? It could be a Python script and it could call exec. Right? Because why? Because the function in bash, and for all intents and purposes, the function, it not the way you think. You need the -F in there, virtual assistant. You need the -F in there. The -F is super important. That's what allows it to do its thing. So for all intents and purposes, an exported function in bash is a command. In other words, it can be used in every sense like a command. It can be executed from another program. Why do you care? Let me give you a really solid example of why you should care about this. Okay, so I have, like, let's say I wrote a program. I wrote a program called hnow, which is just a script, right? But let's say it was a small enough thing that I wanted to run it from VI. So let me go back to my sample script. Here is probably the biggest place you are going to hit failures with not being able to export. And if you know VI properly, this is the other reason that this doesn't get caught by people is they're not using VI properly. They're using VI without its full power. And so I'm going to demonstrate that. So you use VI temp something. Okay. And now we do this. So this is just some random file. Okay. So here is a thing. I'll make it, I don't know. Let's do a markdown file. let's say, okay, so here is a thing, and then we say date or something like that, and it's like greetings, right? Okay, so I mean, I'm just being silly here, but let's say I'm just editing a file and I want to use my greet function. Now, if you know about VI, you know it's stored in all of the environment is stored in memory of the currently running bash interpreter. That is your parent shell. That's why you have to refresh your shell if you want the changes to take. Okay, so watch. I want to actually, let's say I want to do this. The ultimate result is I want to type temp sample. I want to sample whatever foo to run. What did I break? Am I in a new system now? I think I am. Export -f. Where's my greet go? Greet. I think I killed my greet again. Anyway, yeah. Export -f greet. All right, greet. All right. Wait. I'm not having a good day. Greet Rob, greet Joe. Yeah. Am I seeing things? You think Shell made it not work? That should not be true. If that's true, I'll learn something today. This is really interesting because that's not the case when you're doing it from a bash RC file. So I haven't tried it from the command line like this before. Sample foo. We just got this working and now I'm like really confused. Holy cow. That is super interesting. All right. Well, yeah, actually, no, the reason I think it's doing that is because of that bash RC entry I made. So I know that you can do this. Yeah, there it is. See that? That's why it's not working. You see this? I had a mistake in my bash RC. That's why I was freaking out. So I tried. I'm so failing today. Learn from my fails. So I started out by doing one on the command line and it was working. And then I said, okay, let me put this in my bash aliases or my bash, whatever. And I did, and then I did it, and then I did it wrong. And I left the F off and it didn't work. And then I went to go try it again and I thought it was the shell not working. So now we're going to go check it out. Yeah, whoops, sample foo. And we're going to do bin sh, which should work. If this doesn't work, I'm really going to be surprised. What is going on? Yeah, you can follow all the videos. Yep. Yeah, today is not the day for me to make a conclusion about this. I have done this over and over again, all over, and I know it works. Oh, Adam trading? Great. And now Adam raises right in the middle of our craziness. Hey, Adam, you've been watching us like struggle through shell scripting. Epic fails for the win. So we're just doing some shell scripting and we're trying to get our heads around export. I'm trying to show people why export is a big thing. So let's just do this. So here is a shell script, which we made into a POSIX script, which is super fascinating to me. No, I understand now why it's working. I do understand 100% why it's working. And you know what? It does have to be bash, which totally makes sense. Why didn't I think of that before? You can't run an exported function in a shell that doesn't have exported functions. So this is actually really, really, really good that you're seeing this, okay? By the way, how would I fix that? What is another way to get around that? You were right. You were definitely right. Whoever said that the problem was because I was trying to run a script with the shell, the dash interpreter, this POSIX shell, instead of running a shell with bash, and trying to use an exported bash function that the dash shell doesn't even know about was right. And I was just completely brain dead today. And I don't know why I was doing it. It's completely stupid. You know why? You know why I was doing it? Because let me go back to my previous example with VI. Okay. So now that this works, let's do, what was I doing? I was doing sample.md or something. What was I doing? Something. I can't remember anything. .md, there it is. Okay. So I was editing this thing. I was trying to make a point about why you care about exported functions. And this is what led me astray. Watch what happens. I can actually bang. So you see, watch. Okay, I'm gonna let the screen clear so you can see this. Okay, check it. So I'm going to do a magic wand command. The easiest one to do is bang. And when you do that, it actually translates into a : exclamation point, which says, and this is a VI thing, but it says send the current line. And if you want to read about this, go to rwx.gg/VI #magic, because these are the magic wands. And when you do that, what it does is it sends the current line you're on to whatever command you type. Okay. And in some cases, you don't care about the output of that thing. So I can actually type greet and get hello. You see that? It's pretty cool, huh? Actually, watch this. I can do, I can say Rob, and I can do bang, greet, and it does hello. Well, that one doesn't read in the line itself. It doesn't read from standard input, but if it did, it would be better. So the following as an exercise. Yeah. So, but watch this. If I do bang, and then I do /temp, what do we call it? Sample. I don't even remember what it's called. Sample foo, tab completion for the win. And then I do enter, and it will run those commands. Do you see what I just did? Let me do it again. Bang, temp, sample, or any command, sample foo, and it runs. All right. Now, as you can see, when I do, this is extremely powerful. So I have all kinds of things that I do this with. Now, whoops. So one of them is, if I go back on my own system, so this is my configuration, not the sample configuration. And I'm just doing a thing here. There's so many things you can do with this. So bang, now will give me a thing. If I want to insert the contents of the calendar, I can, the calendar for months, that I can insert the whole calendar. If I want to insert the role of one of my students, I can do SKA role mark, and it would like give me his attendance record. He's not here very much. That was debate season. So I can basically do anything, and this, but this only works if it's exported. So watch what happens if I don't export it. So you remember that greet function, right? Yeah, I haven't tried htop. That would be fun. We should try it. I wonder if that works. Actually, I think it probably would work. Nope. Top failed T2i. Needs a T2i. So anyway, so let's try that greet function again. So let's do a different one. Where's our greet function? We're going to make another greet function that is not exported. Okay. So this one will say salut. Okay. So we'll say salut, right, to the person, right? Now that is not exported. Not exported. It is not exported. No, we're not going to overload. You can, but I'm not going to. So we're not going to export this, right? What's going to happen? Somebody guess. Somebody tell me what's going to happen when I try to use it from the magic wand command in Bash. I mean in Shell and VI. What's going to happen? So we get over here. So this is my. Oh, not that one. That's not fair. So like if I do. So again, this says not. I can do so. It's not going to work anyway because it's magic. Good answer. No. So watch when we actually do this. I'm going to do. So salut, les gars. Salut les gars. Well, I got to make it an argument, so let's do that. Actually, if you want that to get all of the things, by the way, I'll show you a trick. So you can do this. You can do salut, and that will get them all. capital S. Salut les gars. All right. So that works. Now, watch. I'm going to go do my something, same exact file, something.md, and I'm going to run my command before I was able to run greet. And now if I try to run salut, it's not going to work because it's French, right? Salut command not found. Why? Why was the command not found? Because the function hasn't been exported. And so when you run a magic wand command in VI, which you should all do, yeah, not exported, duh. Right, so you guys got it. I don't need to beat this home. And by the way, it's not this. You saw me make this mistake over and over again. You can't just do export salut. You have to do export -f because it's a function, and export -f does not exist in any other shell but bash. There's no function like that. You can't do that. So now if I do that, now when I do this, I can do salut, and it won't say salut legal, but you know. So then I do, well, we'll back up for Jalopy and go, but make sure you read the stuff in the environment. So, and the VI thing, you guys should have been through VI already, hopefully. Anyway, so let's type salut, and we get the salut function. It runs with that and it finds it. So all of that is to show you that export is a thing. Here's another one. Let's do a simpler one. How do you unexport a function? Unset. So unset greet. And now when I try to use greet, I should fail. So, and you sometimes have to do that, even if you exec bash to get a new one. So if I do this and I go, so I should be able to greet now and it will fail. Wait, I shouldn't. Oh, you know why? I mixed my lessons up. It's still working. Why? Because the subshell is still getting the stupid thing that bothered me. Okay, so I was trying to teach you guys how to add it to your environment all the time. So by adding it to your bash aliases or bash RC file, it adds it permanently to any subshell that gets run. And that was what was causing it to still work, I'm pretty sure. So at this point, I don't trust anything I'm doing. So greet, and it should say, no, come on, where are you? All right, for some reason my unset before didn't work. Don't know why. So anyway, that worked that time because I checked. So now this should fail. Please fail. Please fail. Yep. There. That's what you expect. It's not in your bash, or so your new shell won't have it. Actually, it doesn't need to be in there because this shell would have sent it there. In fact, let's prove that. But yeah, the bash RC put it there. I'm pretty sure I could have just exported it right here. It would still work. Because the thing about shells is that they are, well, we already checked that. The new shell will have it no matter what, if the current shell has it. And we just proved that with salut. Okay. So salut, yes, you actually can do that. In fact, I do that all the time. It's funny you say that, because sometimes when I don't want to type something that exists already and I want to like make it into a script, for example, which we should probably cover. Yeah, so you can type this. Watch this. You can do magic wand on that action. So you can do bang bang, type greet or salut, and it will print it out. There you go. And you can get rid of that line, and the rest is, I don't do that stupid. So now you go, there you got your function. And then you just do export. And it's pretty common to do this. And this all this says is that if the function compiles, it means it doesn't have an error, go ahead and export it. Otherwise, don't export it. That's all that little magic code does. This is a logical operator. So it's short circuit logic, which says if this thing defines properly, successfully, then go ahead and export it. Otherwise, don't. So that way, if you have an error in there, it doesn't end up getting exported. So that's a really common idiom in Bash specifically. These 3 lines of code cannot be entered into Z-Shell. Z-Shell cannot do exported functions. It's one of the many reasons not to use Z-Shell. So anyway, so we covered a lot. We have a half an hour left, and I'm just going to kind of regroup. I really departed from the book a lot on this because I significantly disagree with how the book is presenting the order of things to you. It's telling you things that require programming, scripting knowledge, such as export, which we just went through, without giving you that knowledge first. And I've decided today that when I rewrite that, write my version, it's going to cover basic variables and functions before we talk about the terminal shell environment, because the terminal shell environment is a running program. It's a running bash program, and understanding that helps you understand everything else. Are there any specific questions on variables and functions? What a function is? The hard part about this is that normally when I teach coding in the past 7 years, when we talk about JavaScript and stuff, we go over what a function is, and we talk about the algebraic functions and how they relate to functions and what they are, and there's more of an introduction to just the general programming concepts such as variables, which also come from math. And I feel a little uncomfortable right now because this terminal approach to it, the way we've been doing it, has thrown us into the programming. Most of you guys have a bit of programming, but the goal of my boost is to create something that even a 10-year-old could go through, which obviously is not going to happen. I've actually raised the prerequisite to be a 16-year-old, which means that they've gone through functional mathematics and things like that, so that so they know what I'm talking about when I say a variable and a function. They kind of get it. But I do feel a little uncomfortable with the fact that we just raced through what a variable is and raced through what a function is and why you want them, and unset. Yep. And so to me, that is not okay. So I will tell you this: on the next version of the boost, I'm actually going to put bash scripting before this part, and I'm going to switch things up, and it's going to screw people up. But I think it will clear them up a little bit more too. We'll go through it in bash C and go deeply. Yeah, but this is so again, my complaint with the book at this point, let me turn off screen reader. Sorry. Hey, look, remember pkill? We talked about it with processes. Now is stuff making sense? Two functions simultaneously with backgrounding. So yeah, you can do that with backgrounding if you want to do that. So yeah, let's do this. Pkill, let's see, watch. Remember the whole pkill, pgrep stuff we were talking about? So pgrep screen reader. This is actually the official way to kill the thing. Screen key. And if you want to see the full thing, I can do -L. You can see, hey, there's my one and only screen key. So now I can pkill it. And that will just kill my screen key. So about processes. I'm glad we got to cover those. About files. No, God, no. You don't need a 9. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's something we covered a little bit earlier. For those of you who are visiting, we covered processes right before this. If you do want to go back and watch some of the VODs, and they're also on YouTube, I covered processes, data file structures, and the earlier stuff in the book. And the book stuff is all at, if you go to RDBX.GG and click on books, it's the book we're covering is the first one this week. All right, so here we have aliases set. Always recommends I don't use what? You don't use em. You don't use kill-9. Kill-9 doesn't allow the process to die happily. So it's very common for a program to trap interrupt signals and to shut things down nicely. And when you give a -9, the thing chops its head off and doesn't give it any other time. It basically kicks it out of memory and doesn't do any recovery. So it's very bad practice to kill -9 a process unless you have to, and that's been misbehaving. Yeah, the books are pretty good. You can't it can't flush to disk. It can't do anything. So it's just -9 is an emergency measure that you only do when something has totally lost its way. And yeah. Is shutdown now a bad process? No, shutdown turn off the whole computer. Yeah, it's literally killing it. It's not. It doesn't even give it a chance to say, "Hey, wait, let me get my affairs in order. Let me write a will. Let me commit to disk." Nope, you're just gone. We don't want you anymore. And very few processes can really survive a -9. There's a lot of them, particularly servers. Yeah, is there an in between from polite to -9, like a timeout? Nope. You can send. We skipped over that, but you can actually send. Do not do that command. You can send an alarm. It's called a SIG alarm. By the way, all this stuff is documented in the kill command itself. If you want to see the actual processes, you have to look at. I think it's -7. Man, I think it's 7 kill. If I remember right. Nope. Was it 6? I don't remember. One of the kill commands. This is the. Oh, there's another command that will show you all the processes. Oh, there it is. Kill-L. Kill-capital L. So this is all the processes you can send. And SIG alarm actually is a useful sort of stopgap. You can send SIG alarm to a process, and it will come back and give you something you can trap after a certain amount of time. So if you want something to, we used to do this all the time when we were coding CGI scripts in Perl. We would SIG alarm our own programs so that if they got stuck for any reason, they would trap the SIG alarm that came back in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and then that would force it to die, and it would shut it down. Shutdown -H now. That'll shut your machine right off right away. Power off, suspend, depending on PC. Shutdown really is set. So yeah, shutdown is the ancient one. That's the one that's been around. They have aliases and scripts for like reboot and a bunch of other commands you can do now. Some people, like they said earlier, they like init 6 to reboot. You can init 0 to turn it off. H is for halt. That means like shut it down. And that if you do now, it doesn't wait around. If you don't do now with the shutdown command, because it's an ancient command that was used for multi-user systems, it would send a big warning, wall of warning to everybody on the system, and then wait for 2 minutes to shut down so they could get their affairs in order, the human affairs with the computer in order. That was the whole point. So please don't confuse shutdown with kill. They're not the same. One of them kills a process, as an individually running process, and the other one, brings down the entire computer or device that you're running on. So anyway, let's jet through the rest of this environment section. I think we've covered it to my happiness. ENV is one you should know about. So there is, we're going to come back to the ENV command later. I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to go back to my other command and say, so watch. So ENV prints out every single environment variable. Print ENV is the same thing, which is, I don't know why do people use print ENV? I've never used it. I use ENV. What's the difference between print ENV and ENV? Is it only print out part of your stuff? I've never used it in like 20 years. I hardly ever use it. I have never used it that I can remember. I don't know. I haven't tried kill-1. Don't want to do that. Normally when I use, let me try something here. Maybe I'm going to learn something here. Print env shell. All right, that works. Okay, that's cool. I learned something today. So print env prints out a single environment variable if you want to, but I never do that. You want me to very embarrassingly admit what I usually do? Env grep shell. That's what I do. Env can execute commands, but we're not going to talk about it right now. We're going to talk about env. Thanks for the reminder about that. We are going to talk about env. So use for 3 cars. No, I do not actually use that. So I always think no one is perfect. I've never once used the print env command, but it's interesting because it does give you the value. But I really don't need the value. I need to find everything. I need to find like all of my, here's one. So env grep, I want to see all of my WeChat variables. So there's all of my WeChat environment variables. That's a more common usage for me. There are some very special environment variables like the path environment variable, which I'm not sure he talks about in this chapter. So here's all that he gives you a sample. By the way, when you're doing over the wire, I won the last level by changing my term environment variable to bin bash. So I'm very proud of that, if you can't tell by my face. So there's another way to win the last level. And I won it by setting my term environment variable to bin bash and SSHing into the system. And it propagated my shell environment. So it injected it into the remote system. And then I could actually, I typed $term to run bin bash and gain a shell and win. So it's important you know that your environment, some of your environment goes with you. We're going to talk about this more when we get to the SSH stuff, which is later on in the week. But that's pretty damn cool stuff that you can do that. It's also dangerous. You actually push your entire environment variable using SSH to a remote system without any like bash RC or anything like that. Hello. For Navy doesn't need grep, I guess. Yep. I think that's the biggest takeaway of that. Display is a big one. So display actually tells you where you're going to do your XIs. In the old days, you couldn't really do this. It's not really fun now. In the old days, you could actually set the display to someone else's IP number in your company and cause them to see XIs or whatever you wanted them to see. So if they didn't have the permissions properly set, you could actually you can push an X terminal graphics application to a remote system. Those days are kind of gone. Most people have, yeah, but that's what $0 means your current system. Sometimes when you use tmux, if you need to use a graphics terminal like remotely, it won't see it because you're remotely logged into a tmux system that's on a system that's got a display. And so you'll say, I don't know what the display is. So there are a few applications that require a display. Wanted to thank you. I'm going through the course offline, not able to join other sessions. No, hey, Harry, thanks. You know, if it helps you, and that's the reason, again, I'm being totally selfish here too, because I am reworking my material. This time I'm using all of you to help me rework my material, as well as the normal, I refactor my material pretty much every year that I teach privately, as well as, you know, on the stream. So I'm selfish as well. In fact, somebody today taught me something. What did I learn today? Oh, the weight, that you can use weight without indicating the PID. So that was worth all 3 hours of streaming just to learn that one thing. And -F I knew. Yeah, ban. I learned how to ban. No, I didn't learn how to ban before. So we might unban him next time, as long as he's not annoying about Z Shell having an MIT license, which I agree is a good thing, sort of. But having Apple pick it up just because it's because they don't have to give anything back, and yet being okay to run Apple. Oh, you learned how to ban too? Oh, good. Does it make you selfish, by the way? All right, so we have aliases. We talked about that. We talked about display editor, setting the editor shell. So this is where I'm kind of conflicted. I really, really want to show you everything in my bash RC. I want to, it sounds very, very, what is the word for the, it's like, I want to show you my bash RC. That sounds somewhat odd. Anyway, but I think this would be a good chance for me to go through and show you everything that's in my bash RC rather than just give you a summary of the main things that are in there. And I don't know what time to do that is most appropriate. I think this is probably the time, but I think that yeah. So the problem is I don't anyway. Oh, thanks, Data. Given the fact that I swore so much today, and I know your aversion to that, I appreciate that comment. CLCP, sorry. Ooh, take it. Nice. Yeah, the CLCP should be pretty easy after you do this. So yeah. Anyway, take care. If you guys are taking off, I'm going to be here for another 20 minutes. I'm just trying to decide how much of this we can cover and how much we're going to do next tomorrow, and whether or not I should go through my bash RC. Let me ask the question of the group. Going through my bash RC is not a good idea until you know how to shell script. So I think I'm going to add, this has been very useful because I'm going to add a bash RC review after shell scripting, and I'm going to push shell scripting before the environment discussion going forward, because I think it will make everything make more sense. People asking questions, well, why are environment variables capitalized? What's the difference? Why do they have export in front of them? All of that. So hopefully, I mean, this has been kind of all over the place today, but hopefully this does sort of start to sink in. Hard time understanding TMX and bash RC as all I knew was a little bash script. Yeah. So I think I'm going to actually push bash scripting even earlier in the rotation. In fact, I'm going to do something that's, you know what? It's talking about all this. Your path, everything. Text editors, VI. I'm gonna make a decision right here. I'm gonna make a command decision, since it's my stream and it's it's my stream. I do what I want. I think I've all but made the decision in my head. I'm just about to put it into words here. First of all, there's no gentle introduction to VI, and I want to save that. I'm going to save you some VI stuff for it. But plus, you're already supposed to have covered VI. Do VimTutor, people. You're the boss of me. And moving the cursor around to see all this stuff, basic editing. I mean, this is a huge section right here. This is just VI, and I want to do VI justice. That's why I keep pushing it off. Because here's the thing: when I show you my bash RC, the next thing I want to show you is my Vim RC and go through that. 30 minutes. 40 minutes. I've seen many people do it in 40 minutes. Yeah. Depends. I'm not saying that, take your time, learn it. Don't rush through it. VimTutor is also missing a lot of things. And I actually I know it's going to take me at least 2 days to go through VI. So, I'm just doing a little online organizing here while I got you guys. Again, I told you guys this first boost was going to be organic, so I hope nobody's offended by me reorganizing things. Customizing the prompt. See, why do they have customizing the prompt before they even show you how to script? They're using scripting commands like echo, and no. I've found a big flaw with this whole book order, and I'm trying to get my head around how to redo it, and I think I know how. I mean, this is, and there's your colors, which are cool. I'll spend all day doing colors. I just don't think that this is in the right spot right now. And then the common tasks and essential tools, they just kind of throw in at the end. Most of this stuff we can skip, by the way. Like, they covered 2 package managers. We already covered package management. We did a whole day on it. I'm going to make a command decision, and I'm going to mess with the order. The days are going to be all over the place. And we're going to continue to go down bash scripting tomorrow. Okay? Everybody good with that? Today we already covered the first part of bash scripting, which is interactive scripting from the shell. Okay? And that means, showing you I was trying to make the natural next step, having shown you how you're interactively writing a program all the time, every time you use bash, a command. The natural next step is how to take those commands and put them in a file. It's the natural next step. And then we talk about overflow protection. Yes, bash has got all the overflow protection built in because it's interpreted. Yeah. It's got its own flaws. The biggest bug in history of bash was called the bash door, or somebody otherwise known as shell shock. Yep. And it exploited exported environment variables for functions to own any system that was running bash. It's probably the biggest vulnerability in all of Linux history, and it was because of exported functions. And for that reason, a lot of people really hate them and they don't trust them. So anyway, that's something you might want to read about. When I read about it, I shifted. So another thing, I was showing my list in my dot files about how aliases and then exported functions and then POSIX. Well, it's time for us to write some POSIX code. And then we'll show the difference between POSIX and shell and why you would use the two different. Once you have all that, then I think you can go to town and customizing your environment. Do you know what I mean? After that, I think all of the customizing your environment just makes sense, because all you're really doing is writing one big script that runs when you log in and continues to run every time you execute a command. So you can think of anytime you log into a shell, you can think of, I am running this program, and everything you do in your bash.c environment, you can, if you in your head, if you can get it around thinking about all of that as if it's one big program that's interactively running, because that's exactly what it is. But in order to understand that, you have to understand how the bash programming language works, period. So POSIX threads in C does not equals bash POSIX. This is very true. This is very true too. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm burning up the rest of my time here. Just kind of talking through the organization, how we're going to do this, but I've made the decision. So tomorrow we will continue down the bash scripting path. Normally though, I would require you to know VI before we do. You can't do anything on the command line until you know VI. If you don't know VI and you can't edit stuff, go do it tonight. Tonight your homework is to finish VimTutor, because tomorrow you can't edit your bash.rc. We're not going to have you edit your bash.rc with nano and whatever. And we already covered VI. We covered it in the second week or the first week. So you should have already mastered VI, and you should be using VI in the command line. And so you should be fine to use set-show VI on the command line. If you don't have that down, or you're quietly doing Emacs and not telling me, which is also fine, then that's fine. Just be able to edit files from the command line by tomorrow, or you will miss this out. Another reason that this book is out of whack, because it teaches you VI after messing with it says, okay, use nano or gedit to edit your bash.rc file. Now you're going to learn VI. No. Look, if you want to use nano, I have no judgment, but I'm telling you, learn VI. Take this opportunity to do that. Audio is coming out of my left ear. Okay, how about now? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Is my audio right now? Never mind, just me. Whoa. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. How is the audio now? I need a drink. People keep telling me I need to drink water so my voice sounds better. Probably true. Is the audio meant to be in mono? Yes, it is. It should be coming in both ears. If it's not, that's a problem. Trick them, Rob, and tell them to use View instead. Ha ha. Some cases podcast. After looking at the other view of the book, it's all over the place. You need to know how to use a hammer before you learn how to build a house. Whereas, you know what? It's a good book. I love the book. I love William Schott's writing style. I love the fact that he did it and he gave it to everybody for free with his cronies and his buddies. VI stereo. And I just think, I mean, the other thing too is I think I kind of sense he kind of struggled. Is like, okay, we're going to have one page about package management. I stopped counting how many package manager applications you guys sent me in the IRC when we covered that in one day. We spent an entire day on package management. And covering Linux package management as a tool you need to understand, no, it doesn't belong in here at all. Understanding how to use apt and yum and all that stuff doesn't belong in a Linux command book. It doesn't. It belongs in a Linux book, not just a Linux command line book, in my sense. But where do you draw the line? And so I actually can empathize with him on trying to figure that out. Let's say book I read 50% now. Wow, nice. Yeah, and this is the thing about Linux that's really crazy is there are sometimes apt install apt-get. Yeah, sometimes Vim is a book. Yeah. Well, okay. So my thing is I try to remove. There's it's almost like you have to iterate on it, right? So you learn we did that, right? So we learned the first vision of survival Vim, and then you learn bash.rc and that stuff. You learn the first shell function commands for your bash.rc, you're not going to be doing any crazy here doc redirection in your bash RC. At least you shouldn't be. And so there's like an iteration on shell scripting. Does that make sense? And then there's like writing, you know, really awesome shell scripting and backgrounding processes and using weight and everything like I was doing to build like as an actual programming language. And Vim should be Vim text file instead of a book like Vim Editor, Vim Tutor. I agree. I think Vim Tutor is still the best for basics. It does miss a bunch of things, and as I've said, I want to commit to the Vim tree to fix our Vim Tutor because it's missing stuff. I mean, it's supposed to miss stuff, but in this case, it's missing really stuff that's better than what it teaches you, and I need to go through that with you. So yeah, all those plugins before you bash your bash RC. So it is iterative. It's like you get new knowledge in one thing, and then that adds more knowledge to another thing. So like minimally knowing how to do apt install or RPM install. I suppose this is my obsession. I obsess about creating the clearest path to the result, and I'm not there for a long. I'm not there for sure. I need to do a lot of it. Duck it, fork it, commit. You need to be able to use things like VI. Will be easy to do things like import dot files. Yes. So, hi. So dot files. If you watch, I don't remember. I think it was day 7. If you manage your configuration so that you have a single dot file like a bash RC or a bash aliases file, then you can, I'm just laughing about the Manjaro mention, then you can copy that file to your user account on the remote system, usually without a problem. And we had somebody else actually in the chat confirm that they've done that and installed their own shell, which will get you fired. But installing installing a configuration file is a relatively basic thing to do. This is also the reason to not have complicated Vim RCs that have lots and lots of stuff in them. And this is why when we do the VI day, I really think the VI needs 2 or 3 days. So I'm going to pretty much rip the schedule apart today and tomorrow and do this. And I'm going to basically slam together this week and next week. Next week was supposed to be when we do the shell scripting, but tomorrow we're going to be doing shell scripting. But truthfully, there should have been a VI session before all of that. And how would you guys think about that? Would you rather have a VI session tomorrow? I mean, like a full VI session? I'm thinking we should probably do VI before we do the shell scripting. And we already did a VI day, 2 weeks ago, but maybe we need another one. What do you think? You'd have it in logical order. Well, yeah. So I'm getting your guys' ideas, but I actually think the Vim knowledge is necessary. VI day with notes makes me superhuman. Yes. Vote for VI tomorrow. Okay. The order is to multi-thread everything. Vim day. All right. There are pools in Twitch, by the way. Are there? What does that mean? What's a pool? My Vim RC is simple and plugin free. God bless you, Blotosaur. Is free while Confim has all the cool stuff. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're not gonna have an Emacs day because I don't know how to use it. If somebody wants to do an Emacs day, as I have said over and over again, Emacs is a fine editor for the right kind of user. I just don't think that is the general highest population of user. I think that everybody needs to learn VI, and a certain population needs to learn VI and Emacs. Ironically, I keep finding this. I don't want it to be an editor of war, but I think we just decided Vim tomorrow. So we're going to do, you know what? That actually works because we've got 2 days left? Oh, that's perfect. All right. So we'll do 2 days of Vim. I'm going to block 2 days out for Vim. We might not need 2 days for Vim. One of the days will be how to use Vim, and the next day will be how to customize Vim. And that will, I don't know how we'll do that order. It might split up. Twitch pools. Oh, viewers can vote. Yeah, I just don't see that. I'd like to do that actually. My fingers trying to remember what to do in VI. So, Emacs has a very different relationship to the shell versus VI. That's for damn sure. If there's one thing that I could change about Linux above everything else, I would make bash shell default to VI bindings. But because the creators of bash were the GNU people, Stallman made it the original, they decided to make the default bindings Emacs, even though 90% of the Linux population uses VI instead of Emacs. And that just really chafes me. But there's so many people who do the Emacs. The reason Control L clears the screen is because that's what it does with Emacs. And that's the only reason. So people, they think that's the shell. They don't understand that that's Emacs mode of the shell. There is the default editor for Emacs. Secret command and share. Yep. So tomorrow we'll do VI. We'll do minimal configuration of your vimrc. If you want something to do for homework, I'm going to call it here pretty soon. Your homework is to finish Vim Tutor, not any of the other tools. There are lots of other tools out there that you can practice using. Don't do any of them until you do Vim Tutor. Why? Because Vim Tutor has you use VI. You're not using a freaking web browser to do it. And so, yeah. And Emacs shifts to screen position. Oh, does it? Sorry. Then Control L must be one of the default bindings for... I didn't know that because I don't know Emacs mode, and I'm ripping the entire section out of that. You know what? I just got to write my own stinking Linux book. There's just not enough time, people. Not enough time. I mean, and people could throw my book in the trash and use somebody else's book. I don't care. At least I have I feel like I need to get the things that I'm learning from you and that I have learned from others documented, because so many of them aren't documented. I just don't see them in beginner books anyway. Vim is so much better than Emacs. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the usage. Isn't a true clear in Emacs mode? Okay, thanks for the Control L clarification. I thought for sure that might have been an Emacs thing. I don't know Emacs, so I don't know that. You start and we will contribute. You know what? I think we can do that. Source it out. We can all help put together. I agree. I think we need to do it. In fact, that's how this book came to be. So this book came to be from a community who started writing on it. You know what? That's a good. We'll put a thumbtack in that. When we go through the knowledge as source week, which is in 2 weeks, the end of this week, the end of next week, I'm going to be going over Pandoc. I'm going to be going over knowledge apps. I'm going to be going over writing in general and how to collaboratively write without using a wiki, and the problems with wikis. There's pros and cons to both. That will be after we go through that. I think that a number of people in our stream could help build the documentation army or the writing army, and we could write some of these things in more of a living way. Currently, the Linux command line has been implemented in a way that is now dead because of its no derivatives, which means that it can't be changed and it can't grow. And if you don't, that's not truly applying the open, free software philosophy to documentation, because it kills it. Insert LOTR. You know what? I was like, we've been looking, my wife and I, not a secret at this point, my wife and I have been looking at New Zealand really seriously. Yep. We've been looking at New Zealand like really, really, really seriously. Like within the next 5 years, seriously. So, yeah. Everybody's having a lot of fun. It's a good place. I've heard people like it, and we've been watching a lot of stuff on it. Let's get out of the States as soon as you can actually fly without. Oh man, the stories. We will end on a negative note. Welcome to Norway is fantastic too. Norway is like blowing up, man. Trax Bash, yes, there you go. Do that. Do anything on Exorcism. I don't recommend Exorcism to IO and to people who do not know the shell. But as soon as you understand the shell, yeah, go for it, man. Exorcism rocks. Again, tomorrow we're going to have a VI day, and we're going to have another VI day on Friday. And then we'll do bash scripting all next week as we had planned on doing. And I'm going to skip all of the rest of the environment stuff. And I think we will put the environment stuff at the end of the scripting stuff, and we can come back and then I'll really go through. I don't know. Do we have anybody? Do Denmark's fun too. You guys are in all the fun countries. I mean, look, America's got great things too. I love America. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-American. It's just a crazy circus right now. I just want to move to New Zealand because there's no snakes and poisonous spiders. They have no snakes and no poisonous spiders. Salut les gars. Le voici, les Français encore, les francophones. Bienvenue. Switzerland. Oh. You know, my ancestors are from Switzerland. That would be ironic. My ancestors were Mormon pioneers from Switzerland. Watchmakers and stuff. And yeah, Mühlstein is my name. So yeah, I'm gonna have to move back there. Yeah. I am not a professor by trade. I have entertained the possibility. I have taught for universities. But I am not officially a professor, nor would I be. I just don't think that formal education is covering things that it needs to, and that's my reason for doing this way. Honestly, I think a lot of us could do that. I don't call myself a professor because people who are professors take great offense. In fact, they have a title called full professor. I was an adjunct, actually. I was an adjunct instructor for the community college, and I've taught in private schools and stuff. But I would rather, it does mean millstone. Yes, it does. Formal education is to keep kids out of trouble. No, please, no. Not the president thing. No. I've heard that a couple times before. No. You know what? That's the problem, is that no good. Look, you guys need to change the world. So we got to get you up to speed. And that means understanding how to export your functions properly. I crack myself up. It's probably time for me to go. I'm laughing at my own jokes. You can save the world by exporting your functions properly. No. You cannot govern without knowing how to export functions properly. It all starts with learning and education and power. If you want to learn Perl, you should. I coded in Perl for years, and I would love to teach you some Perl. Do I think it's a core skill for a beginner boost? Nope. Because if I teach you Perl, I got to teach you Python because it's just as relevant. And so I'm not going to teach you that. If you do, or I'm not going to help you learn it. Again, I'm not teaching. I don't like that word. So here's the schedule, just to remind everybody before I take off. The world needs more mentors and less professors, if you ask me. Professors are motivated by things that are not in your best interests. The ironic thing is the people who attend the university and pay money are not the core purpose for the university's existence. That's really sad, and I hate that that's true. And there are teachers, professors and teachers who will buck the trend and actually care about their students. But the whole system is set up for professors to be motivated by things other than the immediate learning needs of the people that come to their classes. So this is the main reason that I'm not interested in formal education. And now that I've said that, probably could never get a job anyway doing it. Because, yeah. So, but the world does need a lot of people that are willing to help people learn. And that's what we need. So here we go. So I'm going to swap up these two things. I don't know what they're going to look like after tomorrow. And then, oh, hey, look, Alias T Max. That is a great, horrible joke. I need to help you improve your work. You know what? Excellent. You guys, I appreciate the offer for that. And right now, I suggest that the best thing you can do is participate and find errors and contribute to the Discord. We have people helping each other out in the Discord in a way that I just could never have dreamed of when I started doing this. The amount of learning that's happened, I've learned so much from the people just contributing to the Discord. That is the single best way that anybody watching this can help. Can help me, can help each other. And discrete mathematics, I do not know one. So that's a great question for the Discord. And we have some great people who would know about that, mathematicians, Scream in particular. Anyway, so and then the other piece of this is, if you go to rbx.gg, you should be able to click on Discord now. There should be a link to that. rbx.gg and then Discord right here. Okay, and here's all the books. So RWXGG is kind of like the one-stop shopping for everything I'm doing here, including all of this is a learning app, is what I call it, a progressive learning app. That's what we need. We need people to write progressive learning apps. We need people to mentor the skills that they know, and we need people to continue learning and instilling that motivation in others and making mistakes on their own streams. If you want to contribute and help me out, start streaming. Start streaming about something that you know about. I can't wait for El Ramingo. I want to see him stream about networking, or Bob's already streaming about networking. We need to get more people who know or are learning, frankly, putting their content out there for people to see and to share, and that will save the world, honestly. So your process back, yeah. It is really raining outside, so no outdoor yoga for me today, unfortunately. I might be in here doing some more coding and figuring stuff out. But I'm going to take a break. I worked right through my last break because of our raid. Want to stream, and I'm still learning. A lot of times, if you just stream what you're doing, the first thing if you're streaming is not caring about people joining your stream. Some of the best experiences I had in streaming was when it was just me and like 3 other people. And it was fantastic. Yeah, indoor yoga. I'm going to do some indoor yoga today. I am. We actually have our yoga room. I'll go light my incense and do it there. Can we raid Molten Core today? Why not? Is there any reason not to raid Molten Core? Is he going to swear worse than me? Let's see. Indoor yogurt. All right. That was almost a good joke. Almost. Twitch raid. What's Molten Core's ID so I can put it in there? Yeah. So find something you can talk about. Maybe help them through it. Molten Core is from World of Warcraft. Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't mind raiding a gamer. Give me the actual name to type in. Somebody give me the name for Molten Core. This will be fun. Let's actually raid a gamer. I'm not against it. AI streaming right now. Oh. Yeah, I'm RDMX. I can't raid that person because I don't think you can raid. Can you raid yourself? That would be weird. Dr. Disrespect. I don't know about that. I'm a gamer. There's no Molten Core gamer. I don't even know what you're talking about. So otherwise I would read them. See the Discord invite again. Actually, guys, what's up with the Discord invite? Click on it. Go to rwx.gg and click on the Discord invite, please. Copy link address. But I want to be sure that this is working, people. This is a different one. There's actually 2 invites now because I made one for a new one for the website. So yeah. You're on Discord now? Okay, great, guys. Just be nice in there. Microsoft developer, I like him. Is that Microsoft developer is a person? Working, just joined. Okay, great. Thanks for that. Who are we? I don't care if it's a woman. I just want to raid somebody and go away. I've raided optional so many times. I don't mind raiding him again, but he doesn't tend to raid anybody back. This is the 2 people I like to raid. I like to raid people who don't know they're going to get raided and have like 2 people, and then I like raiding people who generally raid other people, just to spread the love, including Lana. I raided her once even. Disrupt Deck is I've raided him before. It's probably somebody to raid. Should we raid Adam back? TTBR. What's up with DL Linux? I wouldn't mind raiding that person. What's up with that? I don't mind. Otherwise, Disrupt Deck. I can definitely raid Disrupt Deck. Sudo raid. Disrupt Deck is doing great stuff. Why not Mumble? You know what, Linux? How to? I'm with you on that, but DL Linux is Brazilian. It's in Portuguese. Well, I don't know about that one. Twitch raid. I think I'm going to make a command decision. Go with Zero's recommendation for good old Disruptic again. What is Ice Cream? Ice Cream is a person who streams, who is awesome. I haven't heard from him, but well, I teach him English real fast. Spots. All right, people. I'm going to turn on the raid and walk away, and hopefully that will go through. Yeah, we still got a few people in here. I see. That's nice. Hopefully, you guys learned some things despite all of the rant. You know what? I went off the rails. Somebody's going to have to cut out that section of my screaming. I might have to. Hey, Mina, see ya. You know, I'm probably going to have to cut out that little F word section before I post this one. Because I totally lost it. I'm just going to cut that out and send it to YouTube in a nice... I don't want somebody to be randomly surprised. But I'm supposed to have a rated a rated PG stream, and I just totally... Oh, I don't know. You know what? Yeah, it is the real me. Oh my God, is it the real me? It's like, well, you have to go back and watch it. But somebody was pushing my buttons on the Z Shell thing. So my problem is I care too much. I'm really defensive, and I just know this about myself. Part of yoga is knowing about yourself, knowing your own weaknesses, and it's the same with tech too, right? So, are you guys gone yet? I'm just waiting for you to wander off on the raid. Yeah. You should use fish. You know, look, if you want to use it on your own computer, that's fine. Just don't make that the only thing you learn. It's like the other thing that triggers me is people who only learn one language and then they tell everybody else their language sucks. It's like not okay. And I get angry, but it's for your good. I'm doing it. It's going to be for the best. You know, because I get angry because if you do that, I know what will result. And too often the result is not something you would enjoy. It can cause you career harm and such. So, not always, but depends on what your job is, of course. Most jobs, however, I want that. There are a lot of streamers who disagree with me, though. You can go to. I've watched other streams, and I just have to be very polite on their stream because I acknowledge that they have different view of the world. So, you guys are probably gone by now, so I'm just gonna leave. And I don't know if I can actually disconnect at this point. I think everyone did finally leave. Yep, they went over to the new stream. Did they get rated? Are they over there? So, tomorrow is VI day, which is great because I love VI. I could talk about VI forever. Yeah. I need to buy a UPS for streaming. I gotta remember to do that because I don't want my machine to go down in this lightning storm. That would suck. I think they all left, Mina. You should go away. How did you stay? You somehow stayed? You threw the thing. See, this is, you know what? This happened to me once. This is really embarrassing. But I almost don't want to tell the story. But I didn't know that after you rated somebody that you actually still stream. So some people who are like looking at you by not watching Twitch, they still see you. And I'm embarrassed to say that I did indeed scratch my nose. and someone's like, we can see you. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, so embarrassed. It's like really embarrassing. So the worst possible thing has happened to me already on stream that I will ever allow to happen to me. So now I'm not embarrassed. Anyway, I'm going to shut the stream off so I can go eat and do stuff with Doris. I'll be back after I don't know if I'm going to be back tonight. I've been doing a lot of writing. So anyway, I will see you guys later. If you're still there, take care.